All right, let's make sure we see it up in the monitor over here so we can tell people are there. Once we see us pop up, we'll know it's working.
I see this.
Ah, there's our thing. See here, look at minimize. You can minimize this, and you'll be able to see us on the screen. So we're talking now. Let's make sure we can hear it. Let's just turn on briefly. Testing. Yep. Okay, I can hear us just fine. Excellent. Okay, great. All right. So let's go ahead and get this kicked off. Ready? Ready to introduce yourself?
I need to get my singer straight up.
Oh, here. Why don't you come look at the camera? Let's say hello first before we start playing.
Hi, it's me.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Ross Shabilsky. I am the founder of D20 Studios, an indie game development studio based in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today I have with me my son, Wesley. He has been an amazing help in our development journey. He has been helping me playtest and QA our latest build the past few weeks, really helping to raise the quality bar, find a lot of crazy bugs that we fixed together. And we are one bug away from getting this release out.
Yes.
There is a very mysterious, ominous memory leak of some kind that's causing all kinds of performance issues. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's pretty bad. So we're in the process of trying to track that down and get that fixed so that we can get this build out to you guys. I'm really excited. There's tons and tons and tons of new content, changes, all kinds of exciting stuff. So what we're going to do today is do some play testing together, see if we can get the bug to occur. I've got all my logs and traces in place, so when it does, we can start to narrow down the net of where that bug can be located. And so you're going to get to see some of the gameplay, some of the new cards and features we have in the upcoming build. We're also going to spend some time talking about our single-player experience and some of the awesome updates and insights we had. Peter and I recently at DreamHack Dallas, and we met a lot of other amazing indie developers, played a lot of cool demos, and then had some amazing discussions on the plane ride back about how to up our game and make our single player truly exceptional. So we'll spend a little time discussing that today. And then we'll also take a look into making a couple new cards. We had a person who was watching one of our recent streams with the Greek god of gaming, and he was really excited about floor traps. So I thought I would maybe make a few new floor traps for the game and get those into the next build as well. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to have you guys here joining us. And we're going to go ahead and get started by launching up the game and just doing some playtests. So let's get this going. All right. Oh, by the way, our website, for those who have not visited our game before, summonersfate.com. This is a turn-based strategy deck builder game about winning the most creative ways possible. And so I'm going to go ahead and launch it. You're going to get an idea real quick of what the gameplay is like and what the gameplay feels like. All right, so let's get started. You ready, Wes?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and open up your game and log in. I'm going to do the same. All right.
I'm gonna move this over here.
All right. So guys, let me know if everything with the audio checks out okay. I'm not using my headset today because I wanted Wesley to be able to talk and so you can hear him. So just if you could, if there's anything weird with the sound, it's too loud in the game or we're too quiet or there's background feedback, just let us know and I can tweak it. All right, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start off with this deck here. I'm trying to test as many cards as possible, and I made a bunch of weird decks. The deck I'll be bringing into the game is called Animality, I guess, apparently. Is a deck with the starting the Fighter Mage as our summoner, and then I've got a whole bunch of like really powerful animals that I beef up. So it's kind of taking our Druid deck, but more about augmentation and beefing up a select number of animals versus summoning a horde of squirrels. So this is kind of like a preview of what kind of cards you're going to see in there. I was playing against AI last night and had a lot of fun trouncing them. So Griffin and Sabretooth are my two starting guardians. As you can see, I've got all kinds of really powerful buffs, like the Celestial Champion that doubles their power, makes them move really fast. The Red Starling I love, is one of my favorite cards. It boosts all the allies. And then we got some Animal Growths, which can mutate our characters, make them beefier, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. All right, and you got your team picked out, Wesley? Who are you bringing?
The Kelly.
You're bringing the Kelly deck? Okay, so he's bringing the deck. We have a character that was modeled after my wife, Kelly, who's also on our development team. She does our marketing, community growth, and those kind of cool things. And so, yeah, for her birthday a couple years ago, I had the artist commission a character that looks like her. So she's also a summoner in the game. and Wesley will be playing her character. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the battle.
Let's go.
And
Let's get this ready.
let's get this ready. Let's go, brah.
Let's get hot and ready. Hot and ready.
All right.
Hot and
So it looks like I've got the first turn. I'm going to turn off my test mode here because I won't need this until unless a bug occurs. But we've got all kinds of debug tools in place so if the bug occurs. Oh, by the way, what we're looking for, the bug, what happens is after a certain amount of gameplay time, we notice that a leak occurs. And it doesn't always happen, but when it does, it sort of drags the responsiveness to a crawl. And it typically affects both of our machines. So we know it's something to do with the animation systems, a listener getting stuck, or something like that. And it just basically bogs down the animations. And we know it's tied to the view because when we destroy and recreate the view, it fixes it. So I'm just trying to figure out where in the view it exists so that I can actually find the leak and correct the code. All right. So for those who are seeing our game for the first time, we're playing kind of a pitch battle here. We have basically a team of 3 that starts off versus Wesley's team over here. And the goal of the PvP is to just defeat the other person's summoner. And the summoners are identified by these giant life bars. And you get to move and attack with each character once per turn. And then you can also cast these cards. And your summoner, who the big triangle here for my guy, is when he casts the card. So I'm going to go ahead and start by sending my... oh, you know what? Before I do that, we're going to play some cards. So Animal Growth, this is going to give an animal +3/+3, and then it's small mutate it. I'm going to go ahead and play that on my Griffin. He's not a small animal, so he won't mutate. But I'm also going to summon the Red Starling, I think, and put him over here. So Red Starling beefed all my guys. I'm just going to hide a little birdie over here. He's sort of like an inspirational character. And I'm going to fly my Griffin in to attack his Cleric. That was a really strong power move there. The Griffin's an awesome starting character because of his ability to move further than anybody else on the board. And then we're going to send the Tiger in, and I'm going to go ahead and run up the field 2. We're not going to be shy about this battle, and I'm going to end my turn. All covered in oil.
there's a glass on this board. And make it.
Oh, so you're still my birdie there. Good move there, buddy. Excellent. All right, so my big hitter is dead. I'm gonna therefore go in for the kill with my saber-tooth. I'm gonna keep him up to 813. Oh wait, I forgot he's slowed because of the grease. So that was probably a bad move to undo that. He won't be going anywhere. Instead, I think what we'll do is we'll send the wolf in, and we'll beat up the wolf instead. So we're kind of locked down from the grease. We're all covered in oil, so we're going to really slow this turn. The oil will wear off after 1 turn. The other cool thing about the grease card is when you're covered in grease, you're very vulnerable to fire. So if you combo with the fire spell, you take tons of extra damage from the grease burning off. I want to get my birdie back out of there.
First one is more of this. This. Get the signal out of here.
I'm feeling quite alone right now. My team is all gone. There's just me and my red bird left.
Yeah, you're second.
All right, so what we're gonna do next is, oh man, that ant's got 7 life left. I'm gonna go ahead and Celestial Champion to double my power up to 9, and then just swipe this bug down. Dead.
Yeah,
That's good.
or gray, whatever it is. My turn, so I'm gonna use
So the surprise cards are really fun. I don't know what he casts. He casts something interesting, and when I do whatever the condition is that triggers it, he summoned the ants at a picnic around my bird.
Yep, and the
Alright, so I don't know what his surprise was. I'm assuming it's something on his caster, because, or it could be a trap card. We don't know.
We don't know.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and flesh out his surprise by sending him the snake. Oh, there it is. So So apparently what he had done was put an ice trap on the ground and my snake just fell into it, so that's no good. Alright, I'm going to regenerate my caster, and then I guess since I can't get over to his summon, I'm going to go after this bug over here. Slice him down.
Look. Anyways, let's see if we can bring out another 6. Because I want to be safe. And let's bring this lance in. What's happening? Wait. I'll grab that to the teams.
No, don't kill my snake. I want to mutate him.
No, he's not going to
I want to mutate him. No, I want to mutate him to a snake person. Aww,
Sorry.
that's sad. I wanted to mutate that snake. Alright, you know what?
Wait, I can see your cards on the screen.
That's okay. It's okay. Just here. You know what? Here's how we'll fix that. We'll
Hey, you're looking at my screen.
I'm not looking at your screen. Here, put your screen over there. Okay. So, Wesley, I don't have my chat thing up. If you see anyone write any comments, you let me know. You read them out loud, okay? And then we got 2 people watching us right now live. It's pretty exciting, huh?
Oh, 2 people.
Oh yeah.
What's
All right.
this? What's this grade?
That's how many views we've had overall on the
Oh,
stream.
wow. 450.
All right. So we're gonna mutate our Sabretooth,
No!
and we're gonna go after the Kelly character.
No!
And I think that's game, Wesley.
No!
Oh, no, it's not! Oh, look at that! Ice trap! Unfortunately, my character is immune to the frost effect, so we really get him anyway.
No!
Otherwise, it would have been pretty darn good.
No!
Good game, buddy.
I'm
So we can
sorry.
type GG there.
Okay.
Alright, so we didn't get the bug to happen.
No.
That's okay. We're gonna keep rolling here until we can get to trigger. Hopefully I can get to pop up on one of our screens and we can run our debug tools to find it. So I think what I'll do is I'll change my team out though.
I'm gonna change my team too. Looks like Kelly
I'm gonna
Jack
take the
won't
battle
win.
bugs.
How about let's be a starter deck this time?
This is gonna be a starter deck. Okay, so the battle bugs is. I've also considered calling this deck the birds and the bees just because it seems appropriate. We got a combination of the bugs, the griffin, more of the birds here that buff everything. We got a lot of poison causing things, and then we've got a ton of things that summon insects. So it's a lot of fun. I'm partial to insects and bugs. I've always liked them as a kid, so it's cool to have them in the game as a devastating fighting force. All right, so let's go with our next game here.
Let's go.
I get the first turn again.
Let's go. Let's die.
Looks like Wesley has brought the Cold-Hearted. This is one of our starter decks themed around the Cold-Hearted Ice Queen and her team of bandits and assassins. And we're
I'm
going to try
pretty
to
much
take them.
Elsa. I
Alright.
know.
Wesley thinks she kind of looks like Elsa. But
Don't you think she's ice?
She's evil. Far more evil than Elsa. Alright, so I'm trying to think what I want to do first here. Looks like
Yes, he is.
I can reach the Ice Queen, so we're going to Bloodlust our Griffin.
Uh-oh.
Bird, get in there!
Bird kill. Why did you kill us?
Excellent. Alright, and then
Elsa's just a nice person.
I want to get this guy up a little closer so he can see the characters I have in the fight here to be able to go. And then I think what we'll do is let's bring in the Mantis. Let's bring him over there.
Why do you have to hurt Elsa? He's a nice person.
That's Click. He's a giant mutant mantis creature.
And
He's
that's
awesome.
Click who froze in a big.
No, we've been ice stormed. That's not good. Now we're all frozen. The worst part is that the cleric is frozen, so I can't unfreeze. Normally
What?
the preserver could heal me and recover. Let me go ahead and check my. I've got some messages. I'm not sure if anyone's trying to alert me of anything here. Oh, cool. Alright, we got some of our Discord fans that'll be joining us on the stream shortly.
Oh yeah, we have another person coming.
Yeah, alright. See, it's exciting. Alright, let's keep them entertained. Alright, so it's my turn again. I'm frozen, so that's not good for me, and my Griffin's on the brink of death. I guess I didn't realize how close I was to proximity of that assassin. We got the Bandit Lord, and we're also taunted, so I can't leave.
You can't
So this
leave.
taunt aura here locks my Griffin into place.
You can't.
Now what I can do is summon some bees. Not the bees! Not the bees!
Cora's just Elsa, and she's nice.
So the bees are great because they're small, annoying. I have yellow jackets are my natural mortal enemy because they like to invade my yard and sting me when I'm doing yard work. So naturally they were an enemy in the game, and now I use them to defeat my enemies. That includes my son. Oh, but I have to attack the taunter.
Oh!
That's okay. Let's see. This one's free though. I can go with Stinger Assassin. So once they sting, they poison, and the poison causes recurring damage.
And no one loves poison, so please don't poison.
We're gonna chop her. And then now that that guy's dead, I can get this beat. He's free to move.
No! 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 No!
Alright, so that's my turn. So now it's a slow and agonizing poison death for Wesley's assassin there. Or the Griffin just put out his misery. Alright. So what I'm trying to do now is get my Mantis in range because he's got this ability where he can kind of harpoon. He throws his harpoon and pulls him in for lots of awesome combo attacks. But first we're going to go ahead and heal our Griffin so he can survive the day. And I think I'll move him down over here. So we're not quite in range, but we're getting closer. Oh, this is something for those who have seen our game before. One of the new features we've got in place is this tactical preview. This is a really cool feature where it shows the range of enemy movements as well as the targets they're able to hit in their current location. Since Cora is a far shot unit, it just lights up anything in her visible area. So her range of attack is anything she can see, which is designated by the tiles that are lit up. And then these tiles represent her movement range. So she can move up to 3 spaces like most characters in the game, but she's blocked by the structure, so she can't move here, here, or here. That's why they're kind of caution symboled out. But my Mantis is definitely in range to hit next turn. The other 2 are secure. So we're gonna go ahead and summon some more bees. Oh! There's an ice trap. So that one goes down. All right. And Cora's now poisoned. And we're gonna go ahead and chomp at the Griffin. This is going down.
How are you going to do something?
Oh, that's good.
Unsafe! Oh, we're at that. Oh, no.
Well, I can't get you because all my guys are frozen.
No.
But I can summon some ants.
No, you can just end your turn, then I'm dead, so. No!
Good game, son. Alright. So still no occurrence of the bug.
Nope. He's dead.
We're gonna keep going here. Hopefully get it to reoccur and I can get this thing isolated.
It's good stuff, actually.
Alright. I think
At least we're not playing with it.
alright, so I do the bugs again or I try a different team. I think I'm gonna try out my my orc team.
I'm gonna do
Both orcs and fire.
I'm gonna do a custom deck.
Custom deck, okay.
I mean, not a custom deck.
While Wesley's picking his deck, I'm going to give you guys some visibility into what my deck's in store for him. So this one's centered around the Orc Chief. Got the Orc Shaman.
I'm actually playing a starter deck.
Starter. Oh, you ready to go? Alright, we're going to go ahead and jump in then. Alright, let me get in the game here.
Oh no, only one person's now watching this.
Don't worry about that. People are always coming in and going. Don't worry about that. It's all about just keeping it consistent. That's how you do these things, buddy.
Orcs in fire.
Let the community know we're out there. If they got questions, they got concerns, anything they want anyone else to address, we're there to listen and take care of them. All right, so it looks like you get the first turn, Wesley, so go ahead.
Oh, I do? Oh,
Yep.
nice. Let's get some of these little tiny little squirrels, and then let's get some more little tiny little squirrels.
Oh, wow. So Wesley's playing one of our starter decks. This is the Squirrel Hurlers.
And then let's get another little squirrel.
So this interesting story about this deck, we've been very much involved with players throughout the development process, and when I started designing Summer's Fate, I reached out to fans of our first game, Hero Mages, and asked kind of a select group of those people to join me in a weekly discussion of the game. And one of the things we would talk about is what kind of cards and abilities would you like to see in our next game. And one of our players, Adam, he was really keen on this idea of summoning a bunch of rodents and creating RUSs like from The Princess Bride, which incidentally is where Wesley's name comes from as well. So there's a lot of ties to that movie and that story that are very near and dear to us. So we kind of took his idea and ran with it, the idea of creating these giant squirrels, and the Squirrel Horror is all about throwing squirrels and then mutating them into super giant humanoid squirrels and then breeding them into an army of superhuman squirrels. So just another cool thing of how we get players involved and bring ideas to life, because with our combined creativity, we create something better than we can come up on our own. Thumbs up. All right. Well, You know what? I got something for your squirrels here, buddy. It's called Conflagration, and it's going to deal 2 fire damage to everybody and melt all the squirrels. Die, squirrels! Alright. I'm going to do that a couple times because I just want to see if I can get like a bug trigger. We've had issues where the conflagration...
I think I know why the bug is activating.
You have a theory? You have a theory? What do you think?
Well, I think that... Well, when I attack, I kill something, and then I used another player, and then ran right away, right when that person killed it.
Think so? Okay, so we think it might have something to do with undoing things, because it tends to happen.
Also undo that too.
So I'm trying to just like summon things and undo them. We did make a change for one of our other players, Maltras, who has had some great feedback about limiting the undo. So we've got this undo system, and previously in multiplayer you could undo indefinitely. But now we've limited to 1 undo per move, so you just kind of undo your mistake, but you can't undo an entire turn.
Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Yep, so that was another player feedback we injected into this build. Alright, well, I did that a few times. I'm going to try casting this, and I'm just trying different things to see if I can. We're not seeing any occurrence. When the bug happens, you'll know what'll happen is it'll kind of lock up before it does the animation, and then we'll know we've got a problem. I'm going to hold that conflagration because if the bug does occur, it'll help us find it later. So I'm going to summon some of this Goblin Assassin. And then I'm going to go and march him toward you. And then I'm going to just totally peg this squirrel over here. Get myself another Goblin. Alright.
Okay, so first we're going to send in...
So Wesley's got the turn again. Ooh, detonate. So this turns a little... Oh! Yeah, why did this guy just stomp my own goblin there? So the Magma Golem is this kind of a chaos character that triggers a aura of damage whenever a red spell is cast. So I forget about... I'm still getting used to playing. He's a really powerful character, but he tends to hurt my team more often than not. Yeah, we designed him together on a stream a few weeks ago, and we kind of collectively decided as a group that it was more fun if he triggers that whenever any player casts a spell, because then if you're not careful, the opponent can kind of use it to his advantage, so Wesley got a free goblin kill there. Alright, I'm going to summon an orc here. I'm just going to try and undo him a few times. I'm still trying to get that bug to occur.
And then we can finally,
Yep, that's right. We're super excited to this build. It's been a long time coming. I really care a lot about quality. I don't want to send you guys anything that's going to be, crash your devices, because it's really devastating when you play a game and you lose progress. So I'm not going to attack. I'm just going to send him right there, and this is why we're going to burn my workshop. Let's get him out of here. Let's get him out of here. Let's burn these guys. So when I cast a fire, it's going to trigger the Magma Golem as well. So now his power will activate and burn all the rodents. Oh, well, one of them had an explosion on him. I forgot about that. So I took a little bit of a hit there. That's okay. Alright, so this bear is kind of wounded now, and I'm going to go and I'm going to test this again real quick. Yeah, I'm just testing to see if I get that conflagration to trigger the bug. So I undid. What? Did you see something weird happen?
I don't know, it's like...
Okay. Yeah, let's keep an eye on it. We're looking for that glitch. Let me know if you see on your own too. So we can bug. Right, so we killed the bear. We traded our orc for the bear. That's not a bad trade.
We really want to find this.
Okay, so here we go.
Anyways, let's get this ready. We're gonna get some of these. This squirrel is the strongest squirrel.
Oh wow, that is one strong squirrel. A 5/5 squirrel.
Wait a minute.
You probably should summon those other squirrels first.
I can't undo.
Oh, you can't undo now. See, that's the...
This thing could
I'm sure you can.
No.
Ugh.
Let's kill the...
Oh man, to see a mighty giant like that fall from the bite of a little tiny squirrel is quite something.
Oh yeah, he's dead. Oh, my squirrel's still alive. No one lost all its stuff though.
Okay, so let's see here. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to summon the Orc Huntress. This is another character we created on the stream together. One of our
favorite characters.
Discord fans, Imzakrell. I'm not sure if he's here today or not. He's also a frequent attender of our streams, but he had a great idea about the Huntress attacking, like, naturally being a Huntress, going after the strongest character. So we actually created a special targeting algorithm so that when we drop the Huntress, she automatically fires an arrow at the strongest enemy within the closest range. So that'll be his rogue here. Boom. And it's a free shot, and the great thing about that is I didn't quite rotate him to the rear, so we're going to get 3 fire here. That's okay.
No!
Alright, and then I think what
Let's
we'll do
get
is
some
our
orcs
shaman
and
will attack and then heal. So that recovers the damage there. And then I guess I'll move forward. Some of this guy. I'm going to undo a few times just to see if I can get that bug and trigger there. Let's try casting this again. Still trying to get that glitch to occur. No luck. Okay, well, we'll continue on. I'm going to go poke this guy with this guy over here. And just get this guy to march up the window. Okay.
Okay, let's see.
Now you guys might notice there's a lot of spikes and traps around the map here. These are all environmental objects that will definitely impact the gameplay. We're going to mutate the squirrel or the wolf? You're going to show us there. Oh, the wolf. Just make the wolf bigger. So the wolf just gets bigger, but the small animals will actually mutate to a humanoid, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so you can knock characters into the spikes, so the traps around these spike blocks are going to take extra damage, which is kind of cool.
Hey, you! Shannon. I'm sorry. I had to kill Shannon.
Oh, man, you took your squirrels out with it.
Yeah, but I just have to get the Shaman out of here.
Yeah, that's probably the call. Alright, well, I'm going to try out this guy here. So the Red Imp is one of our, another player-inspired character that we worked on together on a stream a couple months ago, I want to say now. And he's a really cool card. He's basically a troublemaker. He just causes trouble. Lots of mischief. And what he does is he stabs you in the butt with his pitchfork, and then he trades himself over to that team, and then you gain control of whatever he attacked. So, and then the opponent gets to take and go back and forth, and so you kind of, continue to exchange pieces in a very chaotic-like fashion, which is a lot of fun. So I have my eye on that nice big old wolf there because he does 7 damage. So we're going to go poke the wolf. And now Wesley has my imp, and I get to have his wolf. And I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, wait, do I want to attack? I only got 1 health. I'm going to go your summoner. So that was pretty good. I traded my imp, but I got 7 damage on his main character there, so that was pretty good for me. Oh, you know what I really should have done? Let's undo that. Let's put this on him. So this is a spell called Detonate.
No!
This turns into a suicide bullet. It gets some extra damage on the speed bubble. Watch this. So now we attack.
No!
Boom! That was pretty good. I'm gonna undo that just because I thought I detected a hint of the glitch there. I'm just waiting for that glitch now. I've got it again.
We really want that glitch.
I want that glitch because I
When
need
we
to
get that glitch, we get to build up.
Alright, like I said, I'll
Build up.
fire at your summoner there, and I'm gonna go take the squirrel down. Into the spike, squirrel. Squirrel took an extra 2 damage there. And then send my Galvins after Wesley. Okay.
Anyway, so first we're gonna get ourselves a snake. Then we're gonna copy the snake. Then we're gonna get our
Well, he bred the snakes. Now there's 2 snakes. Good move. Hey! The Kelsum is here. Wesley, you're supposed to be watching the comments. Uptime. Welcome to Kelsum. Glad to have you back with us. We are in the process right now. We are 1 bug away from getting the new build out, and it's been a hard time coming. We've been trying to get this bug tracked down since DreamHack. And so we got all kinds of traces in place. We're just waiting for the bug to happen so that when it does, I can fire all the logs up and we can identify what's causing it. Get this build out to you guys. So Wesley has been instrumental in helping me playtest and get lots and lots of other bugs fixed, and so we're leaning on him today to help us find the bug. Okay, so let's see, Wesley. I'm gonna go ahead and summon this guy. I'm just gonna undo a few times again because I'm trying to get that bug to happen.
Yeah.
It's feeling like it might be building up because it's starting to get a little bit slower in response.
Yeah.
But it's slight. So let's try the animation.
We're gonna get there.
You know what? Here, actually, see this? There's a little bit of a lag there.
Oh yeah, I see.
There.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
We're getting the bug. We're getting the bug.
This could be good news.
We're getting the bug. It's getting a bit.
So this is what the bug does. Like this is a minor occurrence of it, and my theory is what's happening is that something is building up a something's not getting destroyed. Resource management is very important.
Yeah, I'm seeing the glitch. I'm seeing the glitch. We get the bug.
Are you seeing on yours too? Is it lock? Oh wow, yours is really locking up. Holy cow! Oh
Yes,
no, it's not doing anything. Hold on, let me try it on yours. Okay. Yeah, it's not. This isn't too bad. We've seen it to the point where it can hang for about 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah,
it's really
but
bad.
at least we're getting there. We're getting
But
there.
we're seeing a little bit of a minor occurrence here. I'm gonna. Okay, it's still pretty minor though. It's still pretty slight. I guess I'm gonna have to go over it now. Alright. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take and open up the touch debug controls, and we're gonna see if we can get some insight into this. So
We really want to get this bug.
again, this is a really slight occurrence of it, but I'm very attuned to the sensitivity of how the game should be running. So it's probably a minor instance, but we're gonna try and narrow down where we think the bug is at. So the first thing I'm gonna do is trigger this. So this is basically what this does is create a log report of everything that's being created in the game, so I can start to narrow down where this bug is actually occurring from. All right, so we're gonna say seeing a minor, what do we call this? Minor lag in response.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, should I just...
Wait. Memory leak, the worst bug, says the Kelsum. Yeah, absolutely, they are the worst. Again, this is not a very strong occurrence of it. I was hoping we get a bigger one, but we're gonna see. All right, so now I've got some commands that we use. All right, calm down, buddy. All right, I gotta get my command list up. So we're gonna open up this and figure out. I forget what my commands are. I created shortcuts to. Come on, open up resource. Oh, this thing's going slow down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely gonna get some glitches. Somebody's definitely. It's like the whole
Okay, so let's find keyboard. And my computer's being glitchy too. Oh jeez.
I don't know. Is it a computer that's making this glitch, or
I don't know. We're gonna find out. All right. So keyboard. I put in some hotkeys to help me find this thing. Here we go. Okay. So here's the hotkey. So the first thing I'm gonna try to test is the stats layer. So first, I'm gonna do this again. So there's a little bit of a delayed response there. It kind of hangs very slight, but I'm going to try and destroy the statuses. So I just destroyed the life bars. Let's see what kind of response we get now. Okay, so that didn't seem to have anything to do with it. It still has a slight lag there in the responsiveness.
yeah, we're trying to get this bug.
Okay, so we can roll out the stats, which is the life bars. That did not do it. All right, let's see what else we got. I've got the decorations. We've got the markers. Let's try the markers layer. Let's see if that's going to do with it.
Yeah, your screen is
Control
good.
Shift M.
Really, it's just being glitchy.
So that removed all the markers. You saw the little scorch marks went away. Let's see if that has anything to do with it. Nope. That's not causing it. I didn't think it was.
I'm not getting
Okay, so let's see what else we can isolate here. We can remove the tiles. We can remove the indicator. Let's remove indicators.
Oh wait, someone says, "Hiya, Ross."
Hey! Safety set plays.
Oh, it's working.
Always working. All right, good to see you. That's our friend Jimmy from PAX East.
Jimmy.
Yeah, good to have you back, man. So I got my son. This is my son Wesley there. Say hi, Wesley. Look at the camera. Over
Hello.
here. Over
Wait,
here.
hi.
Go over there.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
He's helping me play test. We got one bug left. We're trying to get it fixed, and we got a minor occurrence of it right now. Oh yes, sir. Yeah, we're trying to get this fixed. So I'm kind of systematically going through now and just destroying things on the grid. So
I'm
now.
the one who has to say if there's comments or
All right, I just nuked the indicator layer, which I don't think there was anything on that layer, but okay. So there's still a little bit of a lag there happening. All right,
And
let's
we're
see.
trying to get this bug to happen so we can fix
All right,
it.
hang on.
And then
Let's
be
see what else
done.
we got. Animations. I'm gonna try the animations now. Control Shift
Now be
A.
done.
Let's see that. That did nothing. Okay, good. I'm going with the least likely to the most likely. Let's destroy the particles layer. So this will get rid of the poison. It should. Let's see. I'll get rid of the poison. Still lagging. Okay, good. So we're process of elimination here. We're going to narrow this thing down. Get our site setting here. So we did markers. All right, let's get rid of the tile sets and the decos. Let's see if those are anything to do with it. So tile set.
Who knows?
Goodbye, tile set. all the tiles are gone. Yep, still lagging there.
Holy, what the?
All right, let's get rid of the decorations.
What the?
All right, it's not that either. Okay. All right, what other things did we get rid of here? All right. So I'm certain it's got to be in the units. That's the only thing that really is left is the units.
The units? You're gonna get rid of the units?
Yeah, we're gonna get rid of the units. We're gonna recreate the units.
Oh!
Okay, so we did I just make sure we eliminate everything else. Particles, decos. We did the marker layer. Yeah. Okay, so it's down to the units. I'm certain it's something one of these characters is holding on the. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of lag there that should not.
What?
Yeah.
It's gone.
Okay, so what we're gonna do here is Control Shift 5 to buy units, and then I'm gonna do Control Shift U to bring them back, and now we're gonna try it again. That's weird. It still has a slight bit of delay there, but yeah, I don't know if it got a big enough occurrence of it. So this could just be because there's a lot of targets and it's running. My computer's running the screen and everything else, so I don't know that didn't seem to fix it. Yeah, but it wasn't a strong occurrence. See, when the bug actually happens, it locks it up pretty good, like for a good 5 or 10 seconds. So we're kind of taking the hunch because we're really desperate to find it. So anything that looks like even a minor glitch, we're gonna scrutinize. Oh, calm down. That's Safety Seth Play says this spell is rad as heck. Oh yeah, the conflagration. It's even more fun now because the thing's all set on fire and the goblins scream pain.
And then they all die.
Okay, so unfortunately, Wes, I don't know that we have any new information because I didn't see any difference in the response time. I think that little bit of lag we're getting is probably just because I've got OBS, my debugger, and all the other things running on the system. Yes, scream! Alright, so unfortunately, we didn't get enough insight there. Alright, so I'm going to have to finish off Wesley here. Oh, I forgot to cover it in oil.
You're covered in oil!
That's myself.
I'm gonna finish you off.
Alright, well, hopefully we'll try it. We'll do this again and we'll get a better occurrence of the bug and we'll narrow it down. But that's how the process is going to work. So you guys can see how, like, carefully we thought out the various ways of tracking down the bug and everything. You know, one thing I maybe will... I'm not going to worry about that. We're going to leave this alone. We'll turn on test options. We're going to wait for a real occurrence of that bug to happen because then we'll get some real insight. Usually what will happen is it'll happen on Wes's machines too, and since his is not getting much of a lag, I don't think we got a real occurrence. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and finish off Wes with the wall fire.
Wait, what? I killed you.
Okay.
Really? Wow,
So,
that was a lot of time.
It was a long battle. It was a long battle.
A
Alright.
lot of battle.
Okay, well, still no luck getting the bug figured out.
Okay. Toasty!
Toasty, indeed. Yeah, Wesley got roasted. Barbecued Wesley.
Toast! I
Barbecued
love toast.
squirrels anyway. I just want to have like a little stick with it. Kind of like, we had this little thing here. This is a great thing.
Did you bring any bacon?
My daughter was like, this fire needs a little marshmallow stick, so we had him add little marshmallows here. But I would just love if, like, on the campsite, like they had, instead of equipping their weapons, they just equipped the marshmallow sticks. And then maybe, like, the orc's got a roasted squirrel. He's just kind of turning over on the kebab or whatever. Yeah.
Let's play.
Just these little things like that. I get so excited about the little details that we're going to add when we get the polish phase in.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I'm thinking about next characters I want to test out here, Wesley, and seeing who we're going to go with here.
What's just happening?
Alright, let's see who we're going to go with. Alright, I think I'm going to try out my Horse Demons deck, I guess. We'll try that out. Alright, you ready?
Wait, ready?
Yep, you got your team picked out? Okay, here we go.
I got my dog.
Alright,
Oh, yeah.
we still have no idea what caused this bug. We're gonna try testing a whole different team here. And at the very least, we're looking for other bugs and fixing other cards, which has been great.
Go!
So far, no bugs today, which is actually a good sign. The build's pretty stable and pretty solid, so I'm
That
feeling
means
pretty
you
good.
can get it out. If
All
this
right.
stream doesn't have a single bug, that means
Yeah, if we can't get this bug to reoccur, then I'm just gonna probably hedge our bets and say, all right, we'll go ahead and release it. We'll ask players to keep an eye on it, and we'll continue tracking it. But if it's not going to hinder us for several hours of gameplay here, then it's probably safe to put the build out.
7 hours. Wow.
Yeah. We go till about 11:30 now, so we got another couple hours to go on this stream here. All right, so I'm gonna move my characters up here. And, let's see here. I'm gonna get the skeletons on. Let's get some skeletons. I'll check my man here. Oh, this is a cool feature to add to the game. Is the tactical preview. This has been a long time player request. I'm happy to have that in there, so I can see right away if I move my skeleton up to be in range. So I'm just gonna move him right there. Look at that. And good to go.
You're not good to go.
Let's see. Leslie's playing the Battle Mage. He's an interesting character who can manipulate damage spells by adding gravity to them. Sort of like a gravity bending he adds knockback to all damage spells. So this one already has knockback, so I'm not sure how much crazier knockback going on. Obliterate my skeletons, open up the doorway here. Alright, so here we go. We're going to go after Wesley here. I'm going to start out with a Psychic Blast on this guy here, bring him down to 4 life, and then we're going to go ahead and suck some life force out of him.
Some yummy health. Yummy health.
And then I'm going to take and drain his health. Gain 4 health back, so that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, you only get 1 more health. Yeah.
Knock that guy out of the way.
Oh, yeah, marshmallow.
Alright, sit down, buddy. Sit down. Yep. Your turn.
Okay, so first we're going to start by killing you with a fire.
That sounds about right. So notice I got knocked back with the fireball. That was the Battle Mage's innate ability to add gravity to the fireball blast. So it's kind of fun.
Toasty.
Alright, let's see here. I'll just... Actually, I'm low on health. I probably don't want to keep Psychic Blast because it's slowly killing me. Instead, I think what we'll do is march him out.
March.
But I don't want to do anything. Here, we're going to try this. Oh, you know what? I wish I had put them on me right there. I could have got a combo attack. So, oh well, let's move him up. And,
Die?
Nope, you know what? I can summon skeletons. Let's do that. Skeleton poke! Oh, I forgot he's got the pierce. Just ripped that guy apart. Alright. All you, buddy.
All me too.
Fire. Okay, go up. Arcana. So this, he's already got that. Why do you have that in your deck? He already starts with that. Now he's got 2. He's doubly, he likes to read.
No! I like to read.
He likes to read. So the mummy, when she attacks, she takes the damage she absorbed and transfers it back to my summoner. Okay, careful now. Alright, let's see. So we're going to go ahead and throw him into the mummy. Combo attack there. And then suck some life from everybody. That sounds fine. Boosting my health a little more. And then get in here and stab at his mage. And I got a nice chunk of health now, so I'm feeling pretty confident about this happening. I take 3, but he takes 6, so I have that trade. Let's see what we got him coming up the next turn. Oh no, the fire shield. So this is a very powerful new spell we added to the game. It may be a little too OP. We'll see what players think when they test it, but it basically puts an aura of fire around you, and whenever they melee attack, they take fire damage, so I will demonstrate. Ah! So that hurts quite a bit to get burned by that. Alright, so what we're going to do is move out, roll out, get the horse demon in there. Boom! You want to make a new deck?
Okay. I'm making a new deck with Samurai.
With the Samurai. Okay, cool.
Let's go! Let's go!
Alright, so no bug yet there. Alright.
Maybe it's gone. I feel confident.
It could be. It's possible. I have been doing all kinds of various little tweaks, and
wait, which one has
since I'm not certain what causes the bug yet, it's possible that whatever I've done has mitigated it to the point of... the Summoner is or the Samurai, he is a Celestial unit. Gold border. Alright, so Wes is going to make a new deck to battle me. I guess I will go ahead and make a new deck as well. So at the very least, we like to, if we're not going to get the bug to trigger, we'll test out the other cards and get a sense of, how stable the build is. So I'm going to go ahead and...
Make sure that it's stable and so we can get...
We care a lot about quality. I don't like to put things out there, even in a pre-release, that are going to be broken. So we do a lot of internal testing and edge cases and test cases to make sure that the build we put out there is generally pretty solid for our players. And then, of course, we rely on our community to help us find all the weird things we couldn't anticipate. And that's where our bug reports help. I've had, I think to date, over 700 bugs now reported from our community and players alike. I fixed the majority of them. The rest are in our bug. All right, calm down. We can't both talk here. How about when you make your deck, you tell us all about what you put in there. I'm going to make a new one, too. So.
But some of them are going to be surprises.
What kind of, you're making a Celestial deck, you said? Yeah. For the Samurai? Okay. I'm going to try and think of something else. I think I'm going to make something. I'm going to try out some of the new transformation spells. I'm going to try something with the Rugged Mage. I have almost never made a deck with this guy before, so I'm going to make something with him. This guy. So Rugged Mage has got Sprint Shot, which allows him to move and shoot, and he knocks back and he immobilizes things.
Let's just get a little bit of a...
Okay, so I'm going to put some new test cards in here. One of the ones I definitely, for sure, want to... Oh, these are the Guardians. Who should we take with them?
I don't know.
All right. If you guys have any particular cards you'd like to see in my deck I'm building here, feel free to shout them out and I'll drop them in there.
Shout them out right here.
I mean, it's always good to have a healer. And I'm definitely partial to the bug guy, so I'm thinking about dropping him in there.
Cone of ice cream.
Okay, they can't see your screen, buddy. So you make your deck, I'll make my deck, and then we will battle. All right, so we got the Preserver. Let's see, we've got some other characters here. Oh,
okay, so can I tell my cards?
Not yet. I'm not ready.
No?
Not yet. All right, so I'm thinking about bringing this Gargantuan. He's another one of our newer units. That's pretty fun. He is flying.
1 million.
He's a big ant, and when he attacks things, if they're weakened, he'll bite their head off as a final attack.
Bite?
So I think I'll bring him, unless anyone's got any other thoughts. Again, if you guys see cards you want to see me play, shout out. This Rock Giant's another one I haven't tried yet. You know what? I'm going to swap out the bug for the Rock Giant just because I haven't really played with this guy yet.
Played the star or girl?
The Rock Giant. All right, so I know one for sure I want to get in here is the Savage Transform. This is a card I haven't played in game yet. This card turns you into a bear.
What?
And we built this on a few streams ago. I'm going to actually play it in the game now and see how it pans out. So I need a couple of those. And let's see what else I can bring in here that's new. I'm trying to remember some of the new cards I built. I need to test.
You're gonna go back.
Gotta look through our spells and see. So it looks like this guy is Arcane and... Interesting. I guess a Mana Surge is always fun.
English strategy, indie game, adventure game,
Try this Wormhole out. Okay, that's fun to get that going. Oh, Bramble Elemental is new. Green Dragon is new. Let's get him in there.
No Green Dragon.
This Fox is kind of weird. Let's throw him in there.
This is weird.
Okay, he's weird. Oh, the Hydra. Let's get one of the Hydras. Let's go big guys. You know what? Somebody get another Mana Surge because those big guys are going to cost us some mana. So let's get some more mana in there. Excellent. All right, and then let's see what other things I can bring
No
here.
one wanna ask him what he wants. No one. No one.
Let's see. If I'm going too fast, too, let me know. All right, so we got some ants here. We got the wolf spider mother. We got tree ant. Let's see. Animate tree is always good. It's like the tree, but it turns trees into things. Let's throw a trap in there. Throw a bloom in there to boost our health. Ooh, let's get the death blossom. That's another weird fun one. Okay.
Oh no. You look like you're gonna kill me first.
I don't have any kind of healing, so I'm gonna get a cure in there in case we get poison or something. I'm not sure what Leslie's bringing. Let's bring Poison Breath. Let's bring a Poison Blade, Swarm. Nice. Oh, Blue Troll. He's a new character. Let's bring a couple Blue Trolls.
Oh, I have some blue trolls.
You got some Blue Trolls here? And then let's try out the Earth Drake. So he's a kind of like a flying Earth Elemental, but he's got a lot of armor, which kind of distinguishes him.
I have the Earth Drake too.
You do? Oh, cool. See? Both think alike. It's something about that. All right, and then nice, good protection spell, Cover Shadows, and then we got.
I have Cover Shadows.
Excellent. All right, and then trying to think of other things. We're gonna bring one more thing here. We're gonna bring. Let's bring a goblin. I only cost one. All right. Let's call this
So
deck
can I tell people
Ruggedy. I don't know what else to call this.
Can I tell people what I have?
Yes, go ahead. What do you have?
Okay,
So,
let's see.
tell me like the high level. What's the high level of your deck you're bringing? Like, all right, who's in it? Who's your main characters?
My main characters are, let's see, we got the Dark Elf Sorcerer and we got the Samurai and Rock Giant.
Dark Elf Sorcerer, Samurai, and Rock Giant. Okay, so he's bringing Dark and Light. I'm bringing Nature and Arcane. All right, let's get this battle on. Hopefully, get the bug to occur.
Let's get this battle done.
All right,
again.
you select your new team yet?
No.
Okay, I'm selecting my new team.
My team's called.
I've realized that we got some kind of redundant UI going on here with the selection of the teams. I'm hoping to maybe merge those together. It's also kind of weird that when you make a new deck, it doesn't auto-select it. I think that would be very helpful to do.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened.
Here's our raid.
That was weird. It was like black fur.
Oh, yeah, that was probably recaching. Okay. All right, ready?
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. We're going to attempt to
Battle.
get this bug to occur here. Oh, did I join too fast? We weren't joining. Yeah, there's an issue where if we join at the same time, it makes 2 rooms, so we don't connect. There we go. Looks like I get to go first, and here we go. All right, so send the giants in.
Wait, giant versus giant?
That's right. can't reach him the first turn. But what I'm going to do is let's get a bottom right here. Perfect. And then we're summon the troll. Alright, troll, get in there and do some damage. So the troll is great. He doesn't have a whole lot of health, but if he survives, he regenerates the full health. It's the power of the troll. Although Wesley, you figure out how to kill him pretty quick. So that won't work so well. That's funny, we both picked the wrong job.
Hold it!
Okay, let's try out this guy. Bramble Hunter is pretty fun. He basically is like a walking bramble, so if anybody tries to punch him, they get spiked by the brambles. And you can also throw this bramble ball, which immobilizes other characters, depending on if you have a move. So I'm going to give that a shot. Let's go after his samurai here.
No, my samurai!
You got bramble. Oh, the armor absorbed it, so he didn't actually get immobilized. It did nothing. It's a shame. Alright.
I can't undo that now.
That's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and move him up. I guess I'll go ahead and get this guy. So the samurai is a really strong, powerful fighter. He was a character in our first game, Hero Mages. We got this cool power for him. He's honorable, right? So he has to fight to the death. He can't run away from things. So kind of like the reverse of Tom. He's basically locked in combat now with our gargantuan. And I guess we'll take our giant over here and fight his giant. Giant versus giant.
Who's gonna win? The best card of OPS.
Oh boy. So the Cat of Nine, this is a contraption that was a combination of a few different player ideas, but I credit it mostly to Log and Error, one of our Discord members who came with this really cool idea, and we used the cat to implement it. Of a consistently regenerating creature, so the cat dies, he returns until he's been killed 9 times. It makes him really. I'll demonstrate. We'll hit him, and he just plops back in place, and now he's got 8 lives left, or 7 lives left. We already killed him once, I guess.
Wait, it's my turn?
Oh, it's my turn.
Nope, I didn't know.
Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and get the tree here.
Tree, kill me.
Okay, sit down, buddy. Good. Slap that guy over there.
Yeah, that's
Actually, I got a really fun idea. Let's not do that. Let's do this.
What?
What's that gonna do? Oh no! Knock you into the bear trap. And let's see your samurai. Let's see if I got enough power to stop him from moving. Oh, he did. Wait, did he get immobilized? How did he get immobilized? How much damage should I do? Oh, I didn't get enough. See, the armor protected that samurai from that. That's not good. Alright, let's get him out of here. I don't want to chop my samurai next turn. Let's attack the cat instead. And we'll just regenerate. Okay. End turn. Alright, have a seat, buddy.
So first, we're gonna send in, let's see if I can actually,
That's the brambles killing the cat. So every time he bites the cat, he's doing a little bit of damage, but the spikes are killing the cat, so that's pretty funny. That's what the barbarian on. Oh, that's barbarian is a great character. Oh! So every time the barbarian kills something, he gets to attack again. Move and attack again, actually. How's your performance? Any lag at all yet? Nope. That's Alright. This could be a good sign that the bug may be just either gone or so infrequent that we don't have to really worry about it anymore, which is good too.
It's gone. Good.
Could be gone.
We're fine.
It's possible. I did fix a couple little things, and it'd be a shocker if those were the things contributing to it. Alright, so let's get some mana. Let's go ahead and
kill ourselves. Kill.
I don't want this guy coming after me, so let's get him.
No, maybe so.
So he's been immobilized. Let's worry about him. Control in there. Oh! Cover of shadows!
Wait, I forgot.
What's that? Okay, so that's it.
Duh.
That's Samurai though. Oh, jeez. He is a powerhouse of awesome.
Yes. Duh.
That's the assassin there. Assassin was recently tuned for this update to cost a little less, so you can play it a little bit easier.
Wait. Don't do my turn. Gonna not do that. This. No. Give me my food.
All right. Well,
Give me some.
let's
Give me some.
get to business here. We got this giant we got to deal with. Gave her to him.
Give me some.
So let's poke at that guy.
Stop it.
And get the guy. Finish him off. A little bit of extra health is always good. And we'll have my turn.
In turn.
Oh yes, I'm excited about my next turn.
I am excited that I have another.
Next turn is gonna be great.
What?
No reason. Oh, Banshee. Fun fact, the scream you hear in the Banshee is Kelly. We record some of our own audio here from time to time. Have a little bit of fun doing that. So there's various voices from the family in our
Kill
cars.
me with your Hydra!
How do you know I have a Hydra? Oh, you're looking at you cheating over there? You're looking at my cars? Yeah, there's a Hydra.
Give me
Wait,
your
that
dragon!
I need to get him out of the way first. Get out of the way, cat. So this is actually great because the Hydra's going to just plop down in the middle of all these guys. And the Hydra has
800 damage.
Vigil, which means he can just keep attacking. He gets unlimited counterattacks. Every time he gets hurt, he gets bigger. Bigger and better. So we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to start off with a simple, just kill this cat here. Wait, oh no, we don't want to do that because then you can get injured. Alright, so there we go. Now I get bigger. Classic to the true Greek tale, he grows an extra head, gets a little bigger, but he's very vulnerable to fire, so hopefully Wesley doesn't have any fire because that would really hurt him a lot. Okay.
I have some fireballs. Who knows?
It's occurred to me that oh yeah, he's got Vigil, or sorry, he's got Taunt, so that's why I'm like panicking here for a moment that all these guys are going to come after me, but really, all these characters are locked in place, except for this Banshee here, so I don't have to worry about the Banshee. Push me back there, so what's your chair, buddy?
Banshee!
This guy over here, I guess. Alright, so that Banshee can get free, but the other guys are trapped.
Banshee is free!
Alright, so go for it, Wesley. Let's see what you're going to do. A little bigger. I love it. It's a little bigger. I love it. The Hydra just keeps growing.
Nope.
Keep attacking the cat. Oh no. Yeah. Hydra gets a little bigger. Oh no! You finally killed the Hydra. Man, I got my money's worth out of that Hydra though. Ow. That hurt. Ouch. That hurt. Oh, it burns. Wow, what? Maybe we didn't hurt Wesley yet, man. He's kicking my butt.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
What? What do you got? You got something here? Oh, just about dead. This looks bad for me.
No.
Okay, so the worst. All right, calm down. All right,
No.
All right, sit down.
You have to attack the
Simmer down now. Simmer down.
You have to attack the taunter.
I do have to attack the Taunter, but I don't have to attack. I could also just choose to sit here, but it doesn't look good for me, so I'm gonna do that. And then I do have to attack the Taunter. I don't want to attack the Taunter. Instead, I will.
Finally hurt me?
What I'm gonna do? Attack that guy. Take that. At least I got 1 point on Wesley's character. It's not a total loss for me yet. Alright.
Let's kill you with coldness! No, please down.
Hey!
What?
Hey! No! He beat me!
Ice cream cone of death.
Well done.
Ice cream cone of death.
GG. Ice cream cone of death. Yes.
I want you to
cold.
die from an ice cream cone.
Alright.
Oh,
Well,
we got 5 people.
that was an exhilarating match and still no bug. So
Yay!
I'm not sure. I want the bug to happen because I know it's there. It's eating away at my brain. I know it's there. I don't know what triggers it yet. We just haven't gotten lucky enough to trigger it. Don't you have a time control deck that you made? Something that's got the time traveling spells? Try using that deck because we had the bug happen when we used that deck. Oh, go to your already built decks.
Oh yeah. Where's?
I'm gonna bring the bug deck again, and we'll see if we can get the bug to happen with that. Because I remember we had it happen with your time spells, maybe triggers that we don't know.
I don't know.
We're at a loss. We're having a hard time tracking this bug down.
What if it's not even here? What if we win?
I'm gonna bring the bugs to track down the bug. So let's see how that
The
goes.
bug deck.
All right, you ready? All right, calm down. You're getting too excited. Have a seat. Put your butt in the chair. Firmly plant it.
Just go. Just take your turn. Take your turn. Cause
All right.
I love to be.
All right, calm down, buddy.
I can't. It's just
Too excited? You're just too excited.
I mean, there's a marshmallow.
A marshmallow? Where?
Marshmallow.
That's not a marshmallow. That's a sad face. It looks like a marshmallow.
Marshmallow sad face.
All right, you gotta focus. All right, we're battling now. All right, so I got my griffin. I'll put the griffin over here. Put this bug.
Some hammerheads. Marshmallow. I'll tell you what it is. It's a marshmallow.
All right, take your turn, buddy.
Where's
Oh! Oh, only one character's in range. That's too bad. Yeah, the Frozen Blade is actually another one of our new spells. I'm glad you brought that. It's pretty sweet. He spins around, so we got a custom cast animation for it, and if there were multiple characters, the blades actually all fire in multiple directions. And they stick in the character too, so it's actually quite a cool animation for you to pull off that one. Alright, so I'm gonna come in for the surprise shot here. I'm a little nervous to put myself out there, but it feels fun to do it, so let's do it.
This is what it is.
Marshmallow Hammerhead said. Wesley apparently thinks that the sad face on Twitter, that the robot sad face looks like a marshmallow. I guess it kind of does. Kind of does. Alright.
It looks like a marshmallow.
I brought Gargantuan in. And I'm gonna poison it. I'm gonna free my griffin. Like that. Okay. Alright, go ahead, buddy. You don't have to type it right here. Right here.
Hi. Well, the people have to know.
They can hear you. If you want to talk to the crowd, just take a look at the camera and say, "Hey guys."
Hey, crowd. You said.
You guys gotta give a lot of credit to Wesley. I mean, he has found and fixed so many bugs that I never would have found. I'd never be able to fix alone. He is very diligent. He tests many long hours without pay. he's great.
Phony. I need my book. Yeah, I need my book. Phony.
Oh, did you assassin? Is that how I just took 10 damage? I wasn't
Yeah, assassin. You're backwards, bro.
Yeah, we're getting out of here, dude. Before I leave, though.
How are you gonna get out of here?
Before I leave, I'm leaving these presents. Alright, not getting the heck out of here.
Present.
Because I can fly. Let's kill this guy. What's that? Assassin. Beastly. This is one of the scariest characters in the game. Okay, have a seat, buddy.
Phony? Scariest character's gonna kill you.
He just went back cloaking. I don't like that. Let's undo that. Oh, no, I guess I have to do that. Okay, that's okay. Looks like he's poisoned twice now. Alright, he's got 2 turns to live.
2 turns.
Let's get the lynch over
Phony. Phony. Hi, guys. Hey, guys.
They can't hear you. They're over here, Tom.
Hi, guys. Hey, guys.
Alright, buddy. You're up.
First, we're gonna raid. Derby. BJ. Got that like that.
Oh, Gargantuan. No.
So, guys. Hello.
Alright. Have a seat.
What? I just can't sit.
No shit. No. Yeah, calm down. Calm it down.
No, I can't calm it down. This is awesome. I'm on YouTube.
It's actually Twitch. We're on Twitch.
Oh, we're on Twitch.
Yeah, it's live.
I'm on.
It's kind of like YouTube, but it's live. Although
I'm a lich.
You're a lich, yeah.
Twitch.
Twitch, yeah. You're on Twitch.
I'm alive.
What's up?
What's up, bros?
What's up, bros?
What's up, boys and girls?
It's awesome. The first time you hear kids start using slang, it's just like.
What's up, boys
A couple
and
days
girls?
ago, we were at the park, and just goes to some kid. What's up, bro? I'm like, what did you just say?
Yeah, what's up, bro?
What's
What's up, girls? What's up, girls and boys? What's up? girls and women and men.
All right, let's see here. We're gonna go ahead and.
And yummy toast.
This
Is
is focus here.
any toast watching us?
All right.
Toast watching?
Calm down. All right, I gotta think now. All right, you focus.
No, I can't focus. I'm too laughy. I'm too laughy, guy.
Simmer down the laughter there, buddy.
I'm laughy, guy.
All right, let's see. I'm like hesitating here. I'm trying to think what to do. Wesley's guys always all clumped together, so I can't harpoon him out.
I'm poisoned.
I have no idea. I'm really good. We're gonna speed up this guy. We're gonna heal this guy. All right, so guys, my advantage is all like super fast now. This is gonna be great. Watch what we're gonna do here. We're gonna go over here. Bloodlust on top of that. In fact, here, actually, this is perfect. We can get this guy here. We're gonna pull him in. We're gonna harpoon him into this spike. There we go. So you basically stabbed him and then harpooned him. And he hit the spikes and died. That's pretty fun. All right. Okay. No. Stop making weird noises. All right, here we go.
So, guys, what's up?
And let's go ahead and all right, and
It's
turn.
my turn! Yay!
Wesley's up.
First, we're gonna give me some mana.
For those joining the stream for the first time, we're playing Summoner's Fate, turn-based strategy deck builder. Working on this for the last 3 years in our indie studio. And we're getting close to getting our next build out there. We're trying to track down one last bug.
What's a deck builder?
A game where you build decks. That's what you do. So you collect cards as you play, and you build a deck. Yep. And then you can also it's also kind of CCG. We got the deck building as you play aspect, as well as a pre-constructed deck.
Hopefully
element.
we get the shop window.
Yep, that's right.
It's gonna be like a long time.
All right, I think I've got it finished out here, dude. First, I'm
One day-
gonna kill your skeleton dog just because.
You want to hear that sound? Make everyone hear it?
Yep.
So they can hear the sound of the dog dying.
Yes, that's right. All right. So we're playtesting today because we're one bug away from getting this build out to our group here.
We didn't find the bug.
Peter and I, Peter's
We
my
didn't find
animator.
the
He's not here with us right now, but
We haven't found the bug.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right, we were recently at DreamHack, and we discovered this bug in the build, and so we've been trying to track it down. Had some late nights at the hotel playing the game, debugging, been debugging all this week. We got our iOS build issue all figured out, so the load times are all fixed, and now we've just got this one performance lag bug. It's sort of sporadic, but when it happens, it basically locks up the entire game, so it's kind of important. We don't know what causes it, but we've got lots of tracers. We've narrowed it down to a few places, and so we're just doing a little bit of playtesting to see if we can get it. Probably do 2 more games, Wesley, we think. If we don't get the bug to trigger, then I'm going to switch gears and we'll start talking about our single player.
Oh, can I talk about it too?
And then we've got a couple cards to make.
Can I make the cards?
This aspiring game designer right here, he's geared up. He wants to make levels and some new cards.
Yes.
We're gonna have he's actually be a key part of making some of our levels in our procedural worlds. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about
Ooh,
that.
let's make cards.
Well, cards is gonna be a little tricky. That involves some programming, but you're getting there. You're getting there.
At least can I name the cards?
Yeah, of course.
And can I talk about single player too?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Let's try one more game.
Wait, and the hub? Are we allowed to talk about the hub? No,
Oh.
not yet.
Not yet.
No.
All right. But you had a deck that had the time travel. What was that deck you had that had the time travel people? Let's see. I think, was it your bugs deck? Which one had the time travel spell in it?
We don't know.
I think it was bugs. Let's go look at your bugs deck. What is that? See what's got there.
Oh yeah.
Hit the eyeball. No, go back.
No.
Or do that. Does that have time travel in it?
No.
No. All right, we gotta figure out which one had the time travel spell because that was the one that we had the bug happen on. Not that one. Keep looking. Did you delete it?
No.
Okay, switch over.
Maybe I deleted
Maybe it
it.
was test. Maybe you did delete it.
Will it die?
I think that one he doesn't have time travel. Okay, so we still don't know. All right. Now you had a deck in here that had the time travel spell, and that was when we had the bug happen on. All right.
Oh well.
Do you want to make a deck that's got time travel in it? We can try it out.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, make a
So
time travel deck.
first we're gonna have which one is time travel?
Time travel is the gold cards.
Cool.
Yes.
You mean CSO?
Celestial. Yes.
Okay, so we use it.
All right. So Wes is gonna make a gold deck.
A golden.
Gold. Yeah. Yeah. So time travel is one of the newer spells. We added these time travel cards in one of our last streams, and we've been testing those. There has been some correlation, but not causation, with reports of our bug occurring where time travel spells were used. Okay, good. You found it? Okay, good. So try using those in the Back to the Future as well. I'm going to show you guys what those cards look like so you can kind of follow along with what we're talking about.
No.
All right. While you're making your deck, you got to be quiet so Daddy can talk to people, okay?
Yeah.
Deal. All right, sweet. Good deal. All right.
I just go future.
After you, yeah, right. After you are. That's it. You just don't have to finish typing. Just type the first part. Don't type the whole word. Just hit enter. So you can just search for part of it and it'll find it. Not if you can spell it right. Sorry, like this. It's got a comma and just say that. There it is. Shut it. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys these two spells. So time travel. All right, so time travel, really cool. This card pops your summoner out of the current time dimension and warps you forward to the next turn. So it's kind of cool. It leaves a marker on the board like a time portal. So there is a way for the enemy to disarm it. If they can dispel magic, they can bring you back into the past where you're currently fighting, or the present, I guess, and kill you. Or it, if not, though, you don't return to your next turn. So it just kind of removes you from the game, and then you come back at the next turn. Similarly, the Back to the Future card.
From the movie.
Oops, I typed the wrong thing.
It's from the movie. Back to the Future, right? No?
Oh, why am I not finding this card? Back to the Future. I think it has a comment, that's why it's having a hard time finding it.
People? It's
There
like it's like from Back to the Future.
Back to the Future movie, yep. Dun, 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 dun. Yep, there it is. So
no, that's Indiana Jones. Dun, 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 dun. No, that's Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is. We're getting confused. We're big fans of both those movies, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see here we got the fire trail, and this one's kind of like the time travel, except it sends an enemy minion to the future, and they return on your turn. So it kind of gives you knock out one of your opponent's guys, and then you can deal with him later on a future turn. Kind of a cool concept. One of several time spells we have in place. There's also some spells that are going to actually let you go to the past. So these are all about going to the future. We haven't implemented these yet, but I'll show you some of those. Let's just type in time. I feel like I could probably find
Time to the Future.
So this guy's pretty cool. This is a robot that you summon him, but when he's summoned on the board, he actually rewinds back to your opponent's last turn. So they then have to redo their last turn with this giant robot now in their face, which is kind of fun. And then it gives you a chance to recalculate against all their moves. It's a really weird and very unique thing.
Oh, make that summoner.
Well, he said he gets summoned by the Chronomancer. Are you finishing your deck? You all done? You got your deck ready? You got time travel? You ready to fight? All right.
Wait, when he comes out, I'm just going to use him as a guardian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true. I guess he could. No, he won't be a guardian. He's a 5 cost.
No.
All right. Let's get this show on the road. We're going to do 2 more games here, and then we're going to see if we get the bug to occur. If not, I'm going to make a executive decision to go ahead and release the build today. So I'll be doing that after the stream. And
after the whole entire video on Twitchy.
That's right. Okay, so I'm going to bring the battle bugs again. You ready?
Battle bugs?
Yep. All right.
Okay, let's go.
All right,
let's
go.
Die.
So the bug we're looking for is a lag response error. What happens is after a period of time has passed, we see a leak, and it comes down to a delayed response.
Someone just said it. Mattress just said it.
Hey, Meltros is here. Meltros, welcome. Good to have you here with us today.
Welcome to I don't know, Summoner's Fate.
Summoner's Fate.
No,
So we are 1 bug away from releasing our next client update. It's a massive update of changes.
So many clients.
This is Wesley, my son. He has been, many of you have played him in the Discord, in the multiplayer, and he has helped me play test. He's been instrumental in fixing bugs throughout the process here.
I've also been playing some other streamers too.
Yep, that's true, yes. He's been playing a lot of streamers. And so we're hoping to trigger this bug. And so we're just doing some play testing on the new build. So far, we've encountered no bugs at all, which is exactly what I'd love to have ideally. Although I still feel like in my gut the bug's there. Beltros says, "Hello there, Minnie Ross."
Hi, I'm Minnie. I am Minnie
It's true.
Ross. I pretty much use that.
That's true. Actually, Wesley's favorite thing to be called is Minnie Daddy. That's his favorite.
Minnie Daddy.
He takes that as a real honor to be Minnie Daddy. He wants to be a game designer like Daddy.
Yeah. I love level editors. I love to do that in video games. Like love to do level editors.
All right, ready, Wesley? Let's get this show on the road here.
Yeah, let's get this level editor.
Do that? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna undo that.
Let's do this on the word.
All right. So we're just battling here, hoping to get a bug trigger. But we're gonna have some fun. And I'm summoning the wolf spider mother.
All
This
you
is
have to do is press the trigger button.
one of the many weird and awesome characters in Summer's Fate. It's a mother wolf spider. If anyone knows anything about wolf spiders, this is a true to life thing. It's really creepy. Look it up on Google. They the mothers carry the babies on their back. And that's what you can see here, all the little tiny baby spiders that are all clumped up there. So when our wolf spider mother gets hurt, it drops the babies off. So here we're going to do that. Oh, Maltron's PC is still MIA. That's a real shame. It's the worst. I feel your pain. I have busted a lot of CPUs in my day, and it's very, very distressful when they break, parts go bad, and you just can't play your games. It's awful. Alright, so we got the spiders, little baby spiders are going to go in there. I think I'm just going to keep him in there with a blocker, and then I'll set this one over here. Because that poor baby spider was with trance, but if I keep him there, then you can't get this guy out, so it's kind of useful. Alright, and then we'll set the griffin on. Quick griffin right there. And then we'll heal our wolf spider mother, so she can keep dropping the spiders. Okay, there you go. You're up, Wes.
Okay, so first, we're gonna kill. Let's get out of here.
Later on the stream, we're going to be giving you guys an update on our single-player experience. Peter and I had some amazing insights after attending DreamHack, so I'll share some of those with you. And then I've got a couple cards planned to make today as well. So we'll do that. There we go. Wolf spider summon some more babies. Oh, I love this. You got poison, you get hurt, so you summon even more. Look at get a horde of these bugs now.
Get a horde.
That's a lot of baby spiders. Let's heal the baby. Let's heal the mom up now. Come back and summon some more. Before I do that, though, let's just salt it.
So what if
Give me some more babies, Bessie. More baby spiders.
Why do you get so big? I have work to do. Beep bop, beep beep bop, beep bop, beep 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 bop, beep bop.
Alright, Bessie, count it down.
I just can't stop.
You guys, no, don't be doing the chat like that. Okay. Alright, so let's bloodlust this guy. And we're going to harpoon him in. Yeah, but before I do that, I have a baby spider sign up. That's what I do. I'm going to send the baby spider over here.
Baby spider.
I got something like that over, sorry. So, actually, no, this is perfect. Let's send here, and then harpoon you in. Combo with baby spider, and an extra tap. Take him down. Perfect. I'm going to cast this. So, we changed the barrier spell, so now it's pretty cool. It blocks any range attacks or...
Oh, you just told me when you surprised you.
Yeah, I guess it just told Wesley. Or counter spells cast against him. And we're just going to start with
I can also see on the stream. The clip has
Yeah, Wesley can kind of see my cards. So.
Sorry, I'm not going to attack clip. If I do that, I'll just waste my mana. So I'm going to go after... Not you, but...
Oh no, he's going to burn all the spiders. Oh no, he went after these guys. Yeah, that's cool. I thought he was melting the spiders.
Yeah.
Too bad, you can't undo. So Maltros, one of the things we added in the new role at your request was we limited the undo. So, and we have ways to control it now too, so we can actually experiment it incrementally. What happens now is when I make a move in multiplayer, if I do this, let's say I make this move, I can undo that move. But if I make two moves, I can't undo both of them. So I'll give an example. I'll heal him, and then I'll move him, and if I try to undo now, you see that it changes to a replay. So you can't undo your entire turn anymore in multiplayer. But it's good because we got player feedback, and to some players that can be a bit frustrating to have other players have to replay their whole turn while they're watching. Nobody wants to watch replays of someone on their entire turn. So we give you the kind of the freedom to make a mistake and be like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, undo. But you can't undo the entire turn anymore.
No!
So hope that satisfies you. And then we have another option too. We can also add a limit to the number of undos per game as well. So that's another thing. We haven't set that yet, but if we want to change a variable, we can basically make it so that you have a limit per game. All right. So we're gonna continue fighting Wesley here with our bug swarm.
You mean spiders?
Yeah, our little spider swarm. So
you don't even have to see that.
Alright, so let's go ahead and attack his
Ooh.
You got spider to death. Alright, let's go summon some more spiders.
Yeah, I'm trapped by spiders.
We are trapped by spiders. Alright, let's get the big old ant guy in here. So he's coming for you. You know what? I'm gonna use one of my little spiders to. Oh, I guess I'm gonna try and beat down my cactus.
Why?
Just because.
So I can kill him.
It's not looking too good for you, Wesley. You got a lot of. Yeah, you're like surrounded by spiders.
Yeah!
Oh, okay, so Wesley's time traveling. Alright, good. We have a theory that time travel maybe relates to the bug we're trying to find. So what I'm going to do now is just sort of undo a bunch of times. We think undo might also have something to do with the bug, so I'm just clicking stuff and undoing to see if I can get anything to happen here. I can't get Wesley anyway, so he's stuck over there.
Get on.
There's like some more spiders. Still looking for a bug to happen.
Still look for a bug or a bug? I'm gonna kill our spiders.
Attack the spiders. That's like some more spiders. What's kind of fun? I guess we're gonna test out what happens when we cover up the spot where he would respawn at and see where he ends up going. Good. Okay, alright. Well, I guess that's all I can do because you're not here. You're in the future. So we have to wait till we get to the future to fight Wesley. Oh, there he is! He's returned.
And he's about to kill all your baby spiders.
Oh no! Barbarian gonna pop him up. So every time the barbarian kills, he gets to attack and will go down. So this is a great way to pop up the spiders. Here he goes, killing spree! Oh my goodness. That was a good play for Wesley. Oh man, all the spiders are going down. Can you get the cleric too? Oh, you got it ranged. Oh, too bad. You got him too. I'd say that's a pretty good turn. I want this like little kill counter to appear by the barbarians, like killing spree, you know? Killing frenzy.
Hi, Mini Ross. You're mini, I'm big. I'm ginormous.
Alright, well, take that barbarian. Take some poison. You gotta take him down. Alright, so now you guys are gonna see the gargantuan in action. He's only got 4 damage, but he's gonna use his finishing move where he bites his head off. Oh, there it is.
Did actually
Gargantuan.
his head gets exploded.
Alright, so we get up. Alright, you're up, Wesley. So still no occurrence of the bug. We're still waiting for it. We thought we had it earlier, but it was just a minor lag.
I just saw what surprise you have.
Alright, I'm sure you know what I have.
So I'm just not.
Just pretend like you don't. Oh, still need my bugs. Ooh. Ooh, nice backstab there. It's a goblin with some extra bonus damage. Backstab. One of the cool things about Summer's Fate, direction facing all matters. It's all important to gameplay.
Oh yeah, it's just there.
So when you attack the rear with the little goblin assassin, it does extra 5 damage, which is pretty awesome for a 1 cost. Alright, well.
Hey, is you gonna kill me?
Yeah, I'm just seeing if I got any lag at all. Looking for
We
that
want the
stuff.
lag, or we kinda think it's not. Well, I did.
The game's still running smooth, so no issues.
Bro, what are you doing?
Alright, I think we're gonna finish off Wesley here. With the gargantuan.
So, one more round and no voice.
Yep. Alright, so we're gonna do one more round. Alright, if we don't get the bug to occur, I'm gonna go ahead and make the call. We're good to roll this out. We'll
Okay,
of course
we're ready.
put a notice in our build release notes that we think the bug may still be here and we'll ask players to keep an eye out for it.
Yeah,
Try and
so
track it down.
everyone who's watching the stream or knows about this, please tell us if find
Alright, I think I'm gonna pick a different team for our last battle, Wesley. You wanna use the same team? Yeah, okay, that sounds good. I will bring in a let's see here.
Everyone else gonna do stuff.
Alright, I'm gonna bring a wizard did it. A wizard did it.
What? What's that team for?
It's just another team. Just figure I'd try something different.
With surprises?
I actually don't know what this deck has in it. I just like the name of it. A wizard did it. Oh, we both have a mimic. Look at that.
Oh.
Alright, so wizard, what's his special power? I'm gonna for those who haven't seen the wizard. He is he's a more advanced kind of summoner. He was also in Hero Mages, but he's all about manipulation of the cards in the deck. So whenever you cast a card with the wizard, he draws a new one. So you can kind of cycle through cards really quickly. And what's powerful about that is you can get these really cool combo chains going with cards. So I'll give an example. We're going to use this mana surge here. So
Mana burn!
Mana burn, yeah, sorry. It deals, I get 3 mana, but I take 8 damage, so it's going to hurt. But now I've got a new card, and now I can cast the card I with the note, and I cast it the first time. It's pretty cool. Another card, I'm going to melt, so I'm going to cast that too. I'm going to discard it. And I'm going to deal 3 damage to the closest enemy. So take that, dude.
And another one!
I got 2 of these, so.
2 disintegration.
Stop putting in my cards, Wesley. Alright, and then I'm gonna
add
get my
some
wizard
fire.
out of here because I don't want to be fireballed by that pyromancer. Listen to my beasts. My beasts. Alright, what you got? Show me what you got. 2 mana coins poison each other. Beautiful.
Beautiful stuff.
Jeez.
Oh!
Oh, calm down, calm down. Clever name already taken. Good morning, summoners. Good morning.
Morning!
Glad to have you here with us.
Glad to have you here with us.
Tracking down the final bug. This is my son, Wesley.
This is my son, Wesley.
I'll have to copy it. Yeah, we talked about you earlier. Wesley had the Cat of Nine in his deck, and we had some fun with the Cat of Nine, trouncing around the field and murdering people.
No, I also had a barbarian killing every spider in the whole entire universe.
We had a barbarian mop up my army of spiders, which was pretty cool. You missed that.
Oh.
So we're playing our last round here. We've been trying to track down this memory leak bug. It's really frustrating. I've got all kinds of logs and tracers in place, but so far we haven't had luck capturing it. What's wrong? Seeing little flags?
It just keeps like turning black and back to green.
Black to green? It could be an issue with, I'm not sure what's going on. Alright, good night. Alright, so let's go ahead and fight Wesley here.
Oh!
What's this hi, Wesley?
Hi. Do you know my name? How do you know my name?
You told me your name. You said, this is my son Wesley. Alright, let's see here. Excellent. Alright, let's get this guy.
I'm sorry.
And the cool thing about secret missiles is they see no matter where I am, I don't need line of sight, so I take that.
See. Wait, I have to see? Aren't I have to see? I'm from the internet, I know everything. No.
Alright, Wesley, you're up.
Oh, it's my turn?
Let's see what you got.
Let's get some of this ice giant.
Nice giant, good call.
And I'm gonna freeze you to death. And then I'm gonna burn you.
Wow.
And I'll unfreeze you.
Oh yeah, that's another new change.
And also Ross told me.
So we got
Bro, you told him.
oh yes, I said I told you. Alright, so yeah, another new change in the build. We made it so that fire unfreezes ice. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Does it make sense? It doesn't.
If you get burned, it would melt the ice, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I melted. Wait, do you mean like melts like an icicle?
Yeah, so you froze him, and then you cast fire and it melted the
do you
ice.
melt the player? Do you melt? Can you just melt the player? That'd be funny.
Alright.
Melt the player.
Alright, alright, so here we go. Looks like I got my Griffin Manticore here.
Yeah. No.
I'm gonna undo a couple times, see if I get this bug to happen. Still no issue, no recurrence. It's possible I may have fixed it by changing some minor
Oh, I
things.
know why it's accidentally. Because you think you know. No.
Wesley, camera's over there.
Cameras.
The camera's right there. You're talking to a screen.
Oh, hi.
Okay,
Hi.
that's all. Just check the camera.
Just gotta make sure they sound me.
They saw you. They know you're here. What about this? You're in some deep go
I'm
now,
just
Wesley.
watching my outfit.
You're in some deep go now, Wesley. Yeah, you got my giant crayon bug thing. That's what I'm talking about. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I hope you got a cleansing fire. That's unfortunate for you.
Will you kill me with disintegrate? Yeah. No, what are you doing?
I want to just burn this ice guy. Just completely melted him. He's just gone. Incinerated. Alright, good game, Wesley.
No! No!
Defeated!
Ah!
Defeated!
No! I burnt into melted
All right, well, that was a pretty good run. I think we played a good 10 games there, I'd say, and no recurrence of the bug.
500.
So it wasn't exactly the outcome I had hoped for. I hope we would capture it and be able to repro it and get the logs. And,
It's okay. It looks fine.
the good news.
You guys can make sure that.
The good news is the build seems really solid. We actually had no occurrence of any kind of bugs whatsoever.
Ooh, I like that comic pow effect on this area.
The comic pow.
Ooh, that was a good battle.
That was a good battle. Yes.
Thank
I
you.
liked it.
GG.
GG.
Good
GG.
game.
All right, so I think next on our agenda, we're gonna. I feel pretty good about the state of the build. Again, I would have ideally liked to have known for certain what was causing the bug, but it has been so sporadic and difficult to repro. It's possible that the changes I made have mitigated it to the point where it's almost not noticeable.
Test.
All right. So we're gonna take a quick break. I gotta go run to the bathroom, grab some water, and we're gonna leave the camera running here because I have no idea how to pause this thing.
We don't
otherwise.
Know.
So
Bye.
I'll be back in like a minute or two. All right.
I'm thirsty.
All right. Let's go get some water. All right. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Right back.
Okay.
After these messages.
After these messages, we'll see you later. Have a good time texting us, and we'll find out what you say.
Okay.
Okay?
Come on.
Just please text. I mean, you don't have to. But bye. Okay, so I have to leave now.
All right, guys, we're back.
Ross is gonna take it on from here. I'm gonna say goodbye.
All right, Wesley's gonna.
Ooh, text.
Oh, cool. Clever Name says, "Don't worry, we will find it once you give us the build." All right, excellent. I love that. All right, so Wesley, thank you so much for being with us today on the stream. Say hello and goodbye to all the people watching out there.
Hey.
Over here, look at the camera.
All
right.
right.
All right, he's gonna go and play
Let's
some.
see if we can maybe I could play some more with Daddy again or Ross again with some streams, I guess.
Yeah,
Some
absolutely.
more streams later.
Yeah, it was fun.
I don't know.
You did well. You've been such a good help to this project, Wesley. I'm so proud of you. You're a great aspiring game designer, and you're doing well. I'm very
Bye,
happy.
Wesley. Thanks for helping. Thank you.
All right, have fun.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, excellent. All right, guys, so feeling pretty good about the bug and where we left off with that. Again, we weren't able to repro it, but as you saw, we played several games, lots of different characters, and no reoccurrence. So that's a very strong sign that it's been mitigated. And as Clever Name has said, our community is really great, helping us find stuff. So if you guys happen to encounter it during your excursions in the new build, just shout it out. So with that being said, I think this build is ready to release. So after the stream today, I will be posting updates to Google Play to the App Store for review, and posting the PC, Mac, desktop builds as well. So those will be available almost probably within an hour or two after the stream. And then Apple review usually takes about 24 to 48 hours. In some cases, they've got it turned around in the same day, depending upon how big the load is that day. So very excited to get this out to you guys today. I guess real quick, I should show you, if you're curious about what is included in the changes. If you go to summonersfate.com, you go to our forums, and you go to our game updates and news topic here, I try to keep a running log of what's coming out. There's this thread here called Upcoming Changes in Next Build. So the next build is going to be version 32.1, massive update. I need your help to vet the changes. We've done a considerable amount of changes. There's over 30 new cards added to the game. I fixed all the bugs that were causing issues with the AI, desyncing and crashing people's games. Those are all taken care of. Tons of balance changes, as you can see. The combo system's been reworked. We've got the range characters have different rules now. They have custom melee attacks. We've upgraded the equipment system. Tons of gameplay fixes, and then we've started adding some features in there that help us with dungeon exploration for the single player. So all the details there. A small novel, as you can see, worth of changes. So yeah, go over and check that out. Clever Name says, "Bye, Wesley. Thanks for helping and adorable." Yes, absolutely. It's a real pleasure. I take a lot of pride that my son is genuinely interested in what I do. That he aspires to be a game developer as well, and he really has been an instrumental help. I mean, I can't undersell that enough. There has been just so much that he's discovered in terms of bug fixing here. I give him a lot of credit for helping me get the build to a place of high quality. So, yeah, thank you. Thanks for letting him be a part of our stream today and welcoming him to the stream. That means a lot. All right. So that being said, let's have a little talk about DreamHack, the recent DreamHack Dallas trip I had with Peter, and also let's talk about the upcoming single player and some of the revelations we had with the single player. So DreamHack Dallas was an amazing experience for us. Peter made the trip out with me. We were there for 4 days, 3 days showing, and we got to do a lot of cool things. We obviously met a ton of awesome new people. Always a pleasure to meet new players face to face, see the reactions to the game. Got a lot of good insights on the sticking points of the build tutorial, where we need to fix it with. We met a lot of new streamers. One of them actually recently put a stream out with Summer's Fate. It was the Greek god of gaming. And we have a post in our forums. You guys want to check out his stream. I'm just going to find it here. Game updates and news. I keep a log of all of our events and everything. So yeah, Greek god of streaming. So here's his Twitch channel. Faxius is his name. He was one of many streamers we met. We've got a few more that are also very interested. So I'll be popping up and posting their guys' streams, and you can check out them playing. This guy was really cool. He had a very animated presentation. He wears a toga. He's got a bunch of sound effects he plays in the channel when you're there with him. So we had a ton of fun joining him a couple nights ago, and yeah, so definitely check that out. So some other cool things that happened at DreamHack. We got to go on stage, which is pretty cool. Talk about the game. Everyone commented on how they thought this presentation was awesome. I'm very animated in my talks. If you've seen it before, I get up on stage. I command that microphone. It's Summoner's Fate is a game that's going to let you, the characters look up at you literally to command them from the sky like a god. And I threw scrolls at people in the audience. We had these little plush scrolls that Peter handcrafted that had a little armor on them. So we had a lot of fun with that. We competed in the pitch competition. Got a lot of great feedback from the judges. So that was also awesome. And one of the other really cool things we got to do was, take some time to really explore some of the other indie games out there. I met some of my buddies that are doing similar tactics games. So shout out to the Fellseal guys. Shout out to the Wildermyth guys. It was awesome getting to meet you guys in person, play your games. Also the what's the one that Clever Name recommended? The Round Hero. I'm trying to remember the name. Feel free to shout out in here in the channel. I met those guys as well. They had a game that was like a pinball style game where you shoot your hero, and then he attacks. It was like a pinball dungeon crawler. It was really, really cool. I'm going to post the name there. I know Clever Name's watching. He's got the name of this game. I think it was called Round here or something like that. I'll figure out the name. But it was really cool. So lots of cool games we got to play. And then one of the benefits of playing these games is that it gave us a lot of perspective on our own game demo and what new players experience the first time must feel like, and also kind of what impressions they take away from the game as they're playing. So it was really helpful and insightful to see kind of where our sticking points were in other people's games, what we liked about playing them, and really encouraging to see the how we can take and learn from that to improve and make a better experience for you guys. So as a result of doing all that, Peter and I both got to explore, check out a lot of games. We had a really amazing conversation to play around home about our single player next steps. Obviously getting this build out was really important because we had a lot of upgrades to data and the systems we needed to do in order to build the single player experience out. So I'm excited that our tools are all ready and in place now to rock this out. And then it was kind of the ominous, like, well, how do we begin with the single player? What's the first start? We want to do this incrementally so we can get small builds out to have you guys start testing, getting feedback early, help us find the fun, what's working, what's not working. And it was interesting. I had Peter sort of play my initial experience. I'm actually going to boot it up here for you and kind of talk a little bit to it and some of the revelations we had. I'm going to close down Summer's Fate and just run it from the debugger. Okay, so this is my debugger. I'm just going to go ahead and fire up a procedural build here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit start procedural. So this is just a really small. I should probably pick an actual gun. Let's pick, I don't know, the Pyromaniacs. I don't know. And let's do test options, debug test options, control test mode. Okay, let's fire this again. Okay, so this is a really quick example of a small test we're doing with procedural levels. And the idea was, and I've shown this before, we have dungeons that kind of connect together. You battle enemies, and then your stats, your deck, and your cards all carry over together from level to level. So I can go and fight these guys and attack, maybe knock this guy. And we're going to kill these enemies in this room. And of course, I've got the big mob on this one. For some reason, this character starts off frozen. This is just an experimentation. We're trying with different status effects to mod how the mob spawns work. But I'll have my brother go in here and finish this guy.
Combo!
Oh, they didn't kill him. Okay. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fireball everybody here just so you can have a carry over. Okay. Okay, so now we're in explore mode, so we can go to the next room and go to the next level. So you see he's got 1 health left, he's got 8, he's got 16, he's damaged. My cards, I've got 15 left besides one in my hand. So when I go to the next room, we're going to go in another room, and we got now another encounter. Looks like I spawned the same encounter. I haven't programmed a lot of counters yet, so there's not content here, but we got the system functional. Anyway, so you go through, you kill the mobs, you survive, and that's sort of it. And then you go to the saga map, where you then pick your next path in the adventure. So right away, I had Peter play this, and he goes, "Dude, it's kind of lame. It's not very fun." And I said, "Well, yeah, I get that, right? It's not fun, but is it? We haven't added the content yet. So we've got some levels, but you're fighting the same, 3 groups of monsters and encounters, and so yeah, it's not very fun, but it's just a systematic thing. Yeah, it's not a functional thing." He's like, "I don't know." It's like even with the monsters, it just doesn't have the epicness of fighting the full summoner on summoner battle. And so, obviously, one of our concerns with single player is we don't want it to just be a reproduction of single player, of our PvP in a sequence stitched together, because that would kind of feel like a shortchanged single player. We want the single player to feel different. We want it to be a true deck builder experience where it feels like you're making meaningful progression in a greater campaign setting, and not just doing a series of connected one-off battles, because that would just be kind of a rehash of multiplayer, really. Round Guard was the name of the game. That clever name just shouted out in the channel. So thank you. Yes, Round Guard. Yeah, they're awesome people. Yes, they were. I talked with Kurt. He was a good guy. Made a nice connection there. All right. So so that was kind of our single player concern. And then after you beat one of these nodes, we have this prophecy map. I think I've shown you guys before, where it looks sort of like this. And you can filter through it, and it generates a path. Again, we haven't finished the art, but the idea would be, a tiered structure. You finish the node, you go to the next one, you pick a path, and it needs to be different symbolic representation of, either different enemy types, maybe a rest area, maybe it's a treasure site, etc. Definitely feels reminiscent of a lot of mechanics being used in games today. Actually, Round Guard had a very similar map to this. I'd say they're all kind of inspired by the Slay the Spire structure. Slay the Spire's got a very similar structure that uses this sort of branching node saga map style. And that was actually one of the cool insights we had playing was like we played through that map and picked a path. And it was interesting. Initially, I thought this was cool, and that's why just because it's sort of in the vibe of game design right now, because Slay the Spire is hot, and lots of other devs are looking at exploring this sort of branching node. So we kind of followed suit, and we're tweaking our thing to work in a similar fashion. It's also just sort of a natural, organic idea. A lot of devs have, when you make stuff, there's a lot of commonalities sort of in the ether, and so we all sort of make things. We're inspired by this stuff, and they all sort of feel the same. But it was interesting. One of the conclusions I came to, the more I play with this branching structure, is that it's not generating the feeling of experience that we wanted out of our single player. What I mean by that is, yes, you have choices here, but your choices are limited, and they're also sort of not very fair choices. What I mean by that? So in any current case of the game I played, Slay the Spire or Round Guard, you make a choice based on limited information. Like I've got, like here I can go to this node, which I can see goes on this path. I'll make this branch here. All right, so like here's an example. I got these 3 choices, right? But in each choice, there's limited information of what to pick, and in some cases they're all the same. Like if they were all like small enemy, small enemy, or this one's a big enemy, these are small enemies. You've got a little bit of a distinction in choice there, but once you've made your choice, you're also committed to it. So you go down that path, you don't really know what you're getting into. You've made a choice, but you don't really understand how that choice is going to play out in the actual game. And that was one of the concerns I have with this structure, is that while you do have some choices and some meaning to it, because you can't fall back or retreat or go back to it or don't actually know what's really going to be in the room, it's sort of like rolling the dice. And it sort of almost, in some ways, makes it feel like there's not really a purpose for this map being there other than to show that you're making some progress. But again, from a player feeling design perspective, I don't know that the progress feels all that meaningful, or it's giving the illusion of meaning. Anyway, these are sort of thoughts out loud, things that we felt. And again, this is off-the-cuff sort of response. Certainly it deserves a deeper dive of discussion and things like that, but gut feel is also a very important thing. More often than not, when you feel a gut thing and you feel an emotional response to something, you should trust that. That's one of the things I've learned in game design, is to trust your gut. When you have a hunch, it's usually there for a reason. That's how we sorted out our iOS bug. It was like I went through all the data and I had a hunch, and then we bet on the hunch, and it paid off. We got the bug fixed. And this is another one of those cases where I feel a hunch that this may not be the right path for what we want in the game. And so I'm thinking about making a change. Clever Name is saying, those seem like good insights. Yes, I appreciate that. And it's sad too, because we spent a lot of time. We got this system obviously working here. This actually works in game now, and I've actually got play tests in the game where we were going through and testing these procedural maps. But when the initial feeling is not good, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't hold your work to a standard of, well, I put the time to make it, therefore let's go with it, right? If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right, and you've got to reinvestigate that. So Peter and I started really exploring, what will make it feel right? Like, what would get us excited? what would make it actually meaningful and make it feel like this is actually something that's groundbreaking and completely original? What would set us apart so when people look at it, they go, oh yeah, that just feels like Slay the Spire, right? What would make them say, wow, I've never played anything like this before, and it's totally original, and this is awesome? What would make us feel like we're the game that other games are going to then make their designs based on? That's what I really want to do, is stand out, be the marker of originality that other games aspire to become like. Would be great. So we talked a lot about progression and choice and sort of what it means to the player in terms of the deck building experience. And one of the really simple conclusions we came to was, what if we just scrap this whole saga map thing? And it's funny because the saga map thing, this overworld map, was something where initially I wanted there because there's a lot of other mobile games I played that use this mechanic, and it's great for showing that you're in this world, right? That the world's bigger than you, and you can kind of explore through. And then obviously Slay the Spire came up. We go, oh, maybe we can tweak and use some elements from that, and sort of evolve this thing that was really just other games are using it, so we should use it. But it was never really this is fundamental gameplay, and I can defend that, right? So what if we scrap that? That was sort of the first big insight was, let's just get rid of it. We don't have to worry about the UI. We don't have to worry about what it means. We just completely get rid of this entire saga map thing. And what if we go back to our original vision we had on Kickstarter? And I'm going to pull up our Kickstarter here. I'm trying to think, where do I have that? Here we go, Kickstarter. And the Kickstarter has, if you haven't seen our Kickstarter, it's over now. Obviously, we were successful. We raised over 11,000. But there's a really awesome description of what the game experience, like, holistically is going to be like. I'm going to try and find that section. So if you guys want to read that, World Perspective is great, by the way. Right down here, gameplay. So the gameplay section here takes you through the idea of exploration. We did have our saga map here. So even like 3 years ago, we knew we were going to do this map thing. We just didn't know how it was going to work. And this was sort of a more simplistic implementation of it. But then when we get to down here, and I start talking about this seamless world idea, where the maps sort of connect. I'm trying to figure out where that connects. I hear you. Rooms are seamlessly connected, and your resources carry over to the next area. This here is one of the big insights we've had since we started working on Summoner's Fate that we think makes the game really unique and distinctive. Players commented early on that they were concerned about the smaller maps from Hero Mages because they have a limited tactical scope. We've since disproven that, and those players have recanted saying, oh man, no, I had concerns at first, but now that I've seen how much depth you packed into the small screens, like that problem's totally gone away. But nonetheless, we like this idea that the actions you're taking in each of these tactical battles plays into a greater whole. And because of the way we designed our top-down, we have this unique potential to this seamless world where our world is actually interconnected in these dungeons. And you kind of see the preview here where she's walking through the room and it's actually going outside the dungeon, and now we're in this new area here. And that's something that I think is really powerful and unique to our game, and something I think that gives us the potential to do something more original with how our deck builder works. So, we were trying to combine at one point, have the saga map, you do a few rooms chained together, and then you go to the overworld and then do another few sets. But now I'm thinking, what if the entire adventure was built within this seamless world? And so when we create our procedurally generated world, what we're actually going to do is create an entire world that's connected, and it can have regions, right? So you have maybe snowy areas in the mountains, you've got forested regions, a swamp area, you've got several layers of dungeons. Maybe they're underground, and so you've got the staircase sort of leading down. Do I have that staircase picture? I've got map of the staircase. Somewhere I've got a staircase, let me see if I can find it here. We've got this map that's got a staircase, and maybe it leads down into a dungeon. You know what, here we go. I'll just plop one down here. We'll go to this grassy. So here's our staircase. So what if you were just like walking out in the wilderness and boom, there's a staircase there. And see, we could have like a little stone thing around it here, and then maybe there's like this underneath it. So players could discover sort of a, there we go, little staircase there. So you could be walking in the seamless world, you come across a staircase, and now you can go down here into the staircase and bring you to a whole new floor of dungeons you can explore, right? And then we talked before about this idea of the mini-map campaign, where we've got like, almost like if you were to take all these little rooms or battle grids or cars and you place them all out in a big giant rectangle and create the whole world, and now you've got a full-on procedurally generated world, seamlessly stitched together with encounters. And what if that was our world? Right? I'm going to take a minute to read some comments. So Clever Name says, having a feature that's there just because that's what the genre expects isn't needed. It has to be useful and fun on its own. Absolutely, yeah. This is sort of the greatness of insight that came across when we played these other games. We saw what was great about the games we played was the parts of those games that was original and different that we hadn't seen before. And what made us feel like cautious about the games we played was the things that we clearly saw as derivative of other games. It's like, oh, this is here just because another game had it. And we're like, it doesn't hit us the right way. And that gave us a lot of reflectiveness on our own product. Like, how would our game make a new player feel? What would they be excited about, and what would they say is derivative? And how do we make them talk more about the things that excite them and less about the things derivative? How do we just get rid of the derivative altogether, right? Yeah. Clever Name says, I like the idea of the whole adventure being one big map, as long as you can backtrack relatively quickly. Yes, absolutely. That's one of the key things, that the backtracking and the transitions of the levels has to be like seamlessly smooth, like really, really nice and fast transitions. Absolutely. Yeah, so that was kind of the big thing with it. And the other cool thing about this, so backtracking, this is why I think that this becomes more interesting. When you can backtrack, and let's say you also have the option to retreat, now you have a very interesting strategic metagame where your decision on where to go and how to go matters. I'm going to lay out some few ideas for how we think this will work. So first off, when you explore the rooms, you're kind of mapping out the dungeon as you go. You may or may not know what's going to be in the next room ahead. We had this idea, kind of like in the old Zelda games, where you could find the map to the world and maybe see like what the rooms would be, or maybe find like compasses or things like that that would show you sort of what's in the rooms ahead. So you can make some choices, like maybe this room, 2 rooms ahead, there's a campfire. So if I can get there, I can rest and recover cards. Or there's a treasure here, or the boss is located here. So as you explore, you sort of get a sense of where things are at. And now you can choose a path to get there. All right, but the path is a little bit more meaningful, because when you go into a room and you see, oh God, I'm not prepared for this fight. I've got a room full of, let me try an example. I'm an ice team, and I come into a room full of fire guys. Fire is going to melt the ice. I'm going to get destroyed by these guys. Let's back out and try another path, right? You've got the option to backtrack and use retreat as a strategic option. Another thing that you got is we have this notion that the map itself will increase in its threat level the longer you persist within the world. All right? So I'll give an example. A lot of games that I love to play, Diablo, Elder Scrolls series, have dungeons that are massive mazes of rooms to explore. I'm a completionist player, so I'll go into a dungeon, and my goal is to obviously clear out the dungeon, get everything in it, and then leave. All right. For me, that makes the maze part of it sort of irrelevant, because you spend your time going through the maze, killing the monsters, then you're spending a lot of your time backtracking where there's no longer monsters. It's not really fun to backtrack an empty room. And so what I love about these games is it eventually got smart, like Skyrim started making the dungeons as like a big circle. You'd start at one end, you go through the dungeon, kill the monsters, and you end the dungeon where you started. So you don't have to worry about backtracking at all. But then it sort of also defeats the point. Why do you need to have a maze at all? Why not just make the entire thing linear? The maze doesn't mean anything if you're going to ultimately complete it all anyway. So what if the maze, exploring everything like a completionist player, what if we made that have a cost, right? So as you explore the dungeon or the world, the monsters of that world start to hunt you down. So like your threat level, how difficult the encounters become, starts to raise up. So like think about it this way: if you're playing D&D, right, you roll for your encounter, you get a dice roll. We start adding modifiers. The longer you've existed in the world and the more rooms you've gone to, we start multiplying that modifier. So maybe initially you were fighting a bunch of goblins, and now all of a sudden orcs start spawning in the world. Then eventually, ogres start spawning in the world. Then trolls, then cyclopses, then dragons, right? So you're free to go and explore the world, but you've got to make decisions about whether it's worth it to try and explore everything, right? If your objective is to kill this boss, you've got to make a choice about how to get there the most effective and efficient way without getting overwhelmed by the increasing, escalating difficulty that will eventually overthrow you. You've got the choice to retreat, but retreat's going to cost you. If you have to backtrack and go into another room, monsters may respawn, and you may have to either pay in blood, getting hit by the monsters and taking life damage, or you may have to pay in using up cards that you wanted to save for the boss battle. So in this kind of way, there's this interesting interplay of strategy where you've got the tactical battle, but now you've got this bigger chess game of how do I navigate this massive world to complete the objectives and win the game without getting destroyed by the world as the difficulty increases. And we think that formula is going to be inherently interesting, because when I think about it to myself, and I picture playing in my head, I'm like, holy crap, yeah, that's that sounds awesome. That sounds like it's going to put you on the edge of your seat, and that's the kind of feeling that we want. Let's see, Clever Name says, walk into a room, see the boss, nope, right back out the door. I love it. Yeah. and Risk of Rain style dungeon progression. I haven't played Risk of Rain. I've heard about it. Obviously, another indie team. I'll have to look into that and see how their algorithm looks. It sounds like something similar to the spirit of what we're looking at. And Clever Name says that could be interesting. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. So the next thing we talked about was, Peter and I are on the plane. What does MVP look like? What's like the quickest iteration we can get to players in under 30 days is our target. We want to have this single player ideally fleshed out in time for PAX West, which is in September. So we got roughly 3 months or so to get it done. And I want to get something in players' hands immediately. So we're going to put this new build out, obviously. Going to have all kinds of fixes and new content. But then how do we get the first iteration of this single player experience out? What does the MVP of that look like? Okay, so we haven't talked yet about like the base simple scenario. We've already got a linear progression system working, right? So even without the backtracking and overworld exploration, which we think is the most awesome thing about this, what can we deliver with what we've already got that would give players a taste of how the rest of the experience will work? So the other big part of gameplay is this notion of deck builder. Up until this point, most of Summoner's Fate has been more traditional CCG style pre-constructed deck. And there's a subtle difference there, right? CCGs are typically more, you collect cards, you pick the cards you want, you assemble a deck. That's what Wesley and I were doing today in our playtest. A deck builder is more spiritually, the game itself is about building a deck, right? So an example could be like if you're playing Magic the Gathering, but as a draft tournament. Deck building is now part of the game you're playing with people. Or if you're playing Dominion, like the object of the game is to start with nothing and you build your deck as you're playing the game. That's kind of the notion. So how do we take the process, and this is why I think this is so cool. A lot of CCG games will sort of throw you into the mechanics, you'll learn how to play, and then it's, all right, now there's 400 cards, figure out how to make an effective strategy with that, right? And it's, wow, you've never played this kind of game before, it's a bit overwhelming. So I see an opportunity here to combine the gameplay with learning how to build decks effectively and also making that part of the game itself. So we pictured progression as, like, obviously we have characters whose stats are sort of limited. We don't have menu trees or tons of new abilities you can earn. There's only so much information you can fit on a single card. So how is it that we're going to have progression? And I think what really makes the progression in Summoner's Fate is the choices the players use to build a deck. So the cards you choose is how you define who your character is. And similar to an RPG where you're picking new powers in a branching tree and gaining new stuff, the cards you pick are defining the character that you become in Summoner's Fate. So I said to Peter, like, going back to our really simple example of going room to room, you kill a few monsters and you progress. Not very fun necessarily on its own because it's not really costing you anything or challenging you in a sense. I said, what if you were to simply add in, after every battle you choose a card, right? And we give you a choice of 3 cards. And you pick one of those cards after each battle that goes in your deck. And this way, instead of having a choice out of 400 of what to pick, you got a choice out of 3. And those choices are geared sort of around the class of the initial character you pick. So if you pick the Squirrel Hurler, Sylvia Druid, naturally she's going to have an inclination to be weighted more toward animals, animal-themed cards, nature-themed cards. And so you'll get sort of a taste of the subset of the larger gamut of what we have to offer in terms of content. But it'll be focused around the theme of who you picked to start off with. So if you pick Sylvia, you're going to see choices of squirrels and animal-related things, and then maybe some other wild cards to kind of mix in and combine with that. And so you would fight the monsters, complete a battle, and pick a card. And if every battle you're doing this, after 20 battles, you've got a full deck of 20 cards, now it starts getting interesting. You can have things where you finish the battle, you've got a choice of, do I want to rest and recover, gain back some cards in my deck, restore health, and now you've also got this system to manage. I've got my health and my cards to manage as my resources. And part of the survival mechanic of the game is that I've got to get to the next room without dying. Which choice am I going to make? Am I going to spend a card to kill the monsters? Am I going to, just go all at it melee style and take some damage, but keep my cards for a bigger fight ahead? Starts to create some interesting dynamic of choices. And what's interesting is, like, I play that in my head and I go, you know what? Killing monsters isn't so fun on its own, but if I get to make a choice about which power I get to fight the next more powerful monsters every time I play a battle, that becomes really meaningful. I think about traditional RPGs, and it's like you'll kill monsters and they drop loot, and it's like half of the loot is either gold, which you don't know what the gold's worth because you don't know what you can buy yet, or it's tattered cloth and broken bow and arrow. Not very exciting. But if every battle you get to pick a card that gives you an entirely new ability, it's like leveling up every time you have a fight, and it's like, oh wow, I get to do a whole new power, and now I can combine this power with the ones I already have. It starts to become a little bit more exciting, and so we're kind of on this path now where we think our MVP could simply be you start off with the summoner, know their characters, you go to a room, you fight a battle, and then you just make a choice about which card I want, and then maybe another room you go to, and you come into like a situation where there's 2 characters there, and it says one of us will join you. Which one do you pick? And you get to pick your first teammate. And so every encounter is sort of this interesting choice about who do I want to become, and it sort of creates this narrative for the player, not like a story, but you're deciding the fate or the destiny of what kind of character and what kind of strategy, what kind of deck you're building, and that is what the experience of Summoner's Fate single player, I think, ultimately becomes. Who do I want to become? What strategy do I want to build? And each time I play the game, I get to do it in a unique way. And then once I've got my full power set, it becomes, now how do I use what I put together to survive the next level of the dungeon and the enemies within, right? And I think that becomes interesting. And Clever Name says, the whole game just gets harder as time goes on. So the struggle is between running forward and sticking around to get loot. And I like the cards and health as resources. And he also says, pulling cards from your discard back in your deck versus healing and swapping a card. Yes, those exactly. So we thought that maybe there's limited rest sites, or maybe one of your choices is, do I want a new card? Do I want to swap a card? Or do I want to restore from my discard pile? So those will be some of the choices you can make. Yeah. And he says all of those things are meaningful choices. And that's the key word I'm looking for. It was a great word you used. Meaningful choice. Yes. Choices are not enough, right? It's got to be a meaningful choice that makes you feel like, as a player, that choice matters in a significant way. And that's what I like about it. It's sort of like the notion that we could sort of create a micro experience that builds and escalates into a meaningful long-term progression. And every choice is meaningful. We get rid of the filler, right? We get rid of the endless grind. We get rid of the things that are tedious, and we laser focus as to what's exciting, and we deliver that in, heaping piles. I guess that's it. So that's kind of where we're going. I think that very quickly, with what we've already got built tool-wise, system-wise, if we populate with some content and we get the rewards engine in place where you can pick your cards, that we already have a pretty interesting framework for first play experience and MVP of the single player. So once I get this build out today, I will be starting with Peter next week. We're going to brainstorm our kind of plan of action, plan 1 week sprints of how to get this iteration out as quickly as possible, and then I'm hoping within 30 days we'll have the first iteration of single player, where you can go through, play a progression of series of levels. It'll be linear, right? I'm gonna try and hold myself back from building the procedural backtracking math and focus more so on the progression first. But you'll be able to build your deck as you play, and see escalating difficulty, and kind of get a feel for how that will ultimately play into the game once we have the full experience of the mini maps and the backtracking as well. And I think that's going to be a pretty awesome experience. So very, very excited about that opportunity. Yeah. So any more comments you want me to read about that? Let's see. Clever Name says, there should never be a no-brainer choice. That's an excellent design pillar. I love that. Never a no-brainer choice. Yeah. I want the choices to be like, these are both good choices. We've got a little bit of that in our tutorial now. When I watch people at the PAX or the DreamHack demo playing, and they would come to the choice where it's like, do you want to take the Detonate card, the Transform a Tree into a Monster card, or the Mutate a Squirrel card? And they go, oh man, those all sound awesome. Which one? That's the kind of feeling I want to have. I want that emotion where they're sitting there going, oh man, these are all good, and they're talking to their friends like, what would you take, man? I don't know. These all sound great. That would be a great color. If there's one option that always is the best, then why even have a choice? Yes, absolutely, Cutting In. Clever Name says, I'm excited for single player. And hey, Pancreas is here. Pancreas says, here, here, well expressed and condensed. Yes, thank you. Pancreas, by the way, that's Peter. So I had talked earlier about how Peter and I were at DreamHack. We had this awesome conversation. So yeah, he's here. If you guys have any other questions or thoughts, obviously we had a lot more to the discussion, but I feel like that's a pretty good representation of what we learned from DreamHack. And again, shout out to all of our new members. I mentioned and sort of made some big promises to folks by the booth, like, yeah, we value community-driven development. We really want to hear what players think. We like to have open dialogues. If something sounds lame and not exciting, we want to hear from you. Like, what would make it more exciting? We care a lot about building this process together and making a community of players that's happy and satisfied. We don't need a super large audience to succeed, but what we want to have is a close-knit group of people that really care about the experience, and we want to deliver to them something that's truly unique, that you can't find anywhere else, that you stick around with us for a long time, because we got a lot of awesome things and cool things to make together. So, yeah. All right. So I think the next thing on our agenda, we've talked about single player. I said we would maybe try and make a few new cards, and there was one of the new players that was on the faction stream got really excited about tile traps, surprises you could place on the board and make traps with. And so it occurred to me, like, maybe it'd be fun to make a couple new trap cards, and we could probably do this pretty quick with the systems we have in place. So I'm going to jump to that now, and let's see what we can do here. All right, so I got two choices for you guys where we can start. I've got the first one was, let's see, I'm trying to remember what it was called now. Fire Trap, here we go, boom. Fire Trap card. So this is an interesting trap. It's similar in many ways to the Bear Trap and the Ice Trap, with the exception that once this trap is sprung, it actually leaves a permanent, lasting fire trap on the board. So the trap will continue to spew fire and cause damage to characters landing on its space, while other traps will disarm and go away after they've been sprung. So this is sort of a unique trap in that sense. So that's one of our options for today. And then the other one I've got is the Time Trap. And that one is called, did I call it Time Trap? Let's see what it's called. I'm trying to remember now. Turn Back Time, Time Flux, Time Bomb, Warp Time. What did I call the Time Trap? Time Trap. Okay, there it is. Time Trap. Okay. So this one is kind of like Back to the Future, except instead of playing it directly on a character that you want to nuke off the board, when they enter the space, they're removed from the board until the start of the next turn. So it's sort of like you walk into it and you get blasted to the future. That's the other floor trap I got. So any preferences on which one you guys would like to work on first? So I'll try and get them both done, but I certainly love to take direction. All right, so Pancreas says someone with a silence ability would be nice. Yes, we do have a silence card, so that ability is coming. A combat mind. All units adjacent to this space are silenced. Nice. And then Pancreas says, sweet, that is awesome. Both sound cool. Okay. All right. I'm going to wait for someone to shout out. Fire or time? Fire or time? Fire or time? Somebody type it. Whoever types it first, decide. Choose your fate. I couldn't get my chat up working on my laptop today because Dashboard changed the email login. I don't remember my password is, so I have to kind of look over. Fire, fire. All right, we got 2 votes for fire. Excellent. Okay, I was kind of leaning that way myself. Okay, so here we go. Fire trap. All right, the very first thing I'm going to do is build out the surprise mechanic and get the fire trap working, and then the second part is going to get the persistent trap working. So to do that, first thing I'm going to do is rename this to Ice Trap. I know this is weird why I'm doing that, but I'll show you in a second. It makes sense. Because what this does is it puts us right next to the existing Ice Trap. So I know this card works, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going to take and copy out the mechanics of this card and basically remake it with the fire stuff, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to edit this. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this entire thing, go into the fire trap, there, and paste it in. So look at that. Actually, I think I just loaded in. There we go. Ice trap. Perfect. We're going to call this fire trap status. Okay. And anim status. So what this should be is whatever this icon is, fire trap. So change freeze trap to fire trap. Pretty straightforward. Okay, damage type ice. Now we want damage type fire. So that's pretty easy. All right, and then we're going to edit this trigger ability. So we see here we've got, it's a surprise, but we don't want ice trap, we want fire trap. So there it is. Probably don't want this animation, so I got to go figure out where we get the animation we need for this. And apply status frozen. We don't want that. I'm going to go ahead and put in damage type fire here. Damage type fire. Okay. Any unit, event activator. Actually, this is cool. Since it's a event activator, we can just put none there, save ourselves some data. Okay. I gotta change these sound effects. So what I'm gonna do is grab that from the wall of fire. Open a notepad here so I can get the right thing. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this, and then we're gonna go back and save that. And I believe I can probably take the sound effects and animations from Wall of Fire. So let's go ahead and grab that. All right, damage on enter. Here we go. So it looks like we can just use object burn torch. Perfect. I'm going to copy that sound effect in for sound effect cast. All right, the ice trap, fire trap. Okay. Do this and boom. Get rid of this ice shard animation. Okay. And because we have a global rule for fire damage showing fire VFX, we don't even have to worry about the VFX for fire. It's going to just magically work. I love when things magically work. The elves are doing their jobs. It's good. Okay, so save that. All right, I think all this stuff is good. I think that's good. All right, so now we need to actually program the VFX here. I think all we have to do is, let's see, we have to make this it's a surprise, so we put that in there. And I'm going to copy over the surprise sound effects from Fire Trap so that it's the same. Surprise cast. Surprise cast. Okay. Manipulation, sure. And there we go. Okay, that's all good to go. And then the last thing is we need to make it so that, let's change it to functional so it shows up in the deck builder. Okay. So we want to put damage type fire in here so we can associate it with fire, I guess. Damage type fire. Okay. Okay. And now we got to do our action effects and targeting. So it looks like our targeting should be visible space empty. 1. Okay, let's do that. Visible space empty and number 1. Okay, is there any conditions we need there? Nope, that looks good. And then the action effect would be apply status custom. Okay, so apply status effect custom on, custom nested 0. Okay, cool. I probably want to give that some kind of amplitude. So let's go ahead in here and, let's see, I was smart about this. This is a localized key, and we want to create something similar to that. So we need to create a subtype definition. Let me go ahead and take a look at real quick what this one is called. Ice trap status. Okay, so I did something like that. Deal 4 damage units enter the space. Okay. Deal amp damage to unit entering target space. Okay, save that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is add a key for localization. And then I want to go in here and save that. I want to do the same thing here, like this. So this is called fire trap. A key for localization. Okay, great. All right, so you notice it says 0 fire damage because we've now attached to our amplitude modifier, and this currently says 0. So what we're going to do here is supposed to do 4, deal 4 fire damage to the entering target space. Okay, so now we've got localization hooked up, we've got a description hooked up, we've got our targeting hooked up, we've got our effect hooked up. I think everything here is ready to go. We're ready to test this. The only other difference that I didn't put in here is we got to remember that fire trap is supposed to persist on board, so we're going to come back to that. All right, let's take a look at comments here. All right, it's actually just a wall of fire in a can. Says clever name. Peter says, "Oh well." Clever name. Caution: do not shake. Contents flammable. Do not leave on the ground, covered in leaves, or for suspecting people to step on. One of the great things about our community, especially Clever Name, is that he just has so many awesome puns and delightful comments that just make this all the more enjoyable to make this game. Pancreas says, "Screaming here, but putting grease on the fire trap bursting into flames would be awesome." Absolutely. Yeah, actually, grease is one of our new cards. It's one of the more fun cards in the game. I've had it in the game. It's actually one of the original cards I designed, but never put it into the deck builder yet because I didn't have a proper VFX. So now you can actually douse people in oil. It'll slow them down, and then when they get hit by fire, they take lots and lots of extra fire damage. It's pretty cool. And it has a great, like, gloppy sound effect when you dump it around people. Maybe we'll demonstrate that in the test. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and make a test deck to test this. Decks. Okay, reflection. I'm going to use this deck here. I'm going to call it Fire Trap Test. And I'm going to call this Trap Fire. Oh, we should probably rename it to something else. I think I still have it called Ice Trap Fire. It's fine. And then here we're going to call this like a Grease Spell. Let's just put 2 of these on the left here and double test it. Okay, and then that. Boom. Okay. Okay. So the deck we want to use here is going to be Fire Trap Test. And start again. Okay, so fire trap. There it is. Let's have knock in the fire. Okay, put test mode on here. I'm gonna go walk over here and get you. Oh no! All right. I had flush buttons. All right, so that's a good first test. Let's get rid of flush going because it just complicates things. Start it up again. Okay, so now let's put a fire trap over here, and let's block them in the oil. All right, I should show you what that card does. So units in 3x3 area get slowed to 1 space per move, and vulnerable fire 3 until end of next turn or burn. Vulnerable means they lose extra life and hurt by that type of source. So now he's got grease on him. You're going to see a little bit of gloppy grease. Even when he moves, he's got kind of like a sloppy looking pool of grease falling off in there. So now when he walks in the fire and takes fire damage, boom, takes 4 damage, and the grease burns off, boom, an extra 3 damage. So there you go. And now the grease is burned off and it's gone. So I can walk around. So there's a grease spell in action. All right, so that worked pretty well. All right, so we got the first part of our card done. Now, the other piece is that we wanted to have it so that the fire trap would actually leave a lingering fire trap that's persistent on board. That's sort of what makes it different than just a regular damage spell, right? So we've got this little deco thing I like to use for it. It looks like this. These little spouts. You can kind of see them in the card art there where they're sort of popping out. There we go. Kind of see the little fires come out of those little nozzles. That's the idea. They're shooting fire out of those things. So what we want to do is we want to place a permanent fire trap that looks like that onto the board. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that next. Now, forgive me, I don't remember what the asset's called, so I gotta go look it up. I do have an asset for that I made. Assets. Do I have that in VFX? I think it's in here. Let's go look up the name. So I'm gonna have to come up with a name for it. All right, so let's go back to spells. Let's go back to ice trap, fire trap. Okay, I could probably just call this fire trap now because I don't need the ice trap part of it anymore. Okay. Fire trap. Okay. So the next thing we're going to want to do, and this is going to have to all be done inside of a nested effect when it triggers. So actually, we're going to have to create another nested status effect. Let's do that. I'm trying to think how I'm going to do this. Let's see. It's confusing. All right, let's figure out the name of this asset first. Okay. So I have a little fire nozzle thing here. There it is. And that asset's called Fire Trap. did I really call it Fire Trap? That was probably a poor choice. I may have to rename it because I don't know if it's going to be able to distinguish between Fire Trap and is the icon also called Fire Trap? Yeah, those two are going to be in conflict with each other, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's not going to work. Why did I name it the same thing? Let's call this Fire Trap Deco. Because otherwise, I think it's going to not gel with it. So we're going to have to republish the editor real quick to get that to show up. Won't take just a minute. Saving. Okay, let's publish this guy. And now I'm going to publish the definitions editor once more. Take a look for some comments. Pancreas says, you secretly build in pipes and sprouts and gas line under the floor in the middle of battle. Ninja. Yes, that's right. You secretly. Hey, if anything ever gets confusing, just remember, a wizard did it. A wizard did it. Retroactive architecture. Reconfigure reality such that the pipes were always there. Yes, that's what we're doing here. A little bit of magic there. I'm going to close this down so we can reopen it. Okay. Okay, firing it up. Okay, so we're back in action here. We got the thing renamed. We're going to go into Fire Trap again. Okay, so let's go look at assets here. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're going to start by copying this. I feel like this could work for us. What I'm going to do is get this guy here. You'll see that. Make a new version of it. I'm going to actually just load this one in. I'm going to call this thing Fire Trap Permanent, maybe? I don't know. Permanent. Interesting. The localization key should not have copied over this really good. Let's subtract this one here. And let's just say, actually, you know what? That's probably fine. You have to do that. Yeah, let's leave it as is. Okay. All right. So the difference here is we're going to call this one Fire Trap Deco. That sounds really right. Fire Trap Deco. Okay. And then Fire Trap Entry Position. So what this is going to do is the same thing as the Fire Trap did, but we're not going to remove itself when it's done. It's going to just do that. Okay. So we did that. And now the Fire Trap, we need one additional piece here. So this guy's going to trigger, and after it triggers, it's going to now create the new status effect on the space, the permanent one. So custom, this time we want nested 1 on, I think we can say cast location here. Perfect. So what's going to happen is we're going to burn the victim with the initial trap, we're going to place the new permanent trap, and then we're going to remove the temporary trap. Save and go. Okay, and save this. And then we probably want to add that to our description. I forget how I originally had worded that. It says something like trap becomes after trigger. There we go. And save that. Okay, save. Okay, so I think that is. Oh, why did that look key not update? That's weird. Oh, there it goes. Okay. All right, so let's go test this again. Here we go, folks. It makes some pipes that were always there. That's right. Okay, so we're going into test now and start her up. Okay. Place our Fire Trap. Okay. Barbarian's going to walk into it. It's going to burn him. And look at that. There's the pipes. They're there now. How cool is that? Walk over here. Oh, that's weird. It shouldn't be a surprise anymore. Okay, so we had to change that, but it did its job. It did place the Fire Trap, and it shouldn't be a surprise though. We know it's there now. We know that's a Fire Trap. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to that card and just adjust that real quick. So spells, fire trap. Where's fire trap? Okay. So the difference here is that we don't want to have it be a surprise anymore. This is no longer a surprise, and we don't want it to have it do that. So that should just burn you, and that's it. Okay. Okay, and boom, and save this, and that should be good to go. So I think we got it working pretty good here. Let's get one more whirl. Oh, let's see. Yeah, this should be good. Okay, start game. Start game. Okay. All right, let's try it. So first time you encounter it for the opponent, it's a surprise. Good. There it is. Okay, and then this should still have the description. Deal 1 fire damage to unit entering target space. Okay, so I still have to make it so that that's not a surprise. We have to fix that, but it should no longer trigger surprise. It should just deal damage. Oh, that's a problem. It's only dealing 1 damage. We gotta fix that. Okay. All right, so we gotta fix that. All right, so 2 things to fix. We're almost there. All right, so let's go back to fire trap. F for fire trap. Okay, let's go into fire trap permanent. Okay, so here's the 2 things we gotta fix. We gotta make it so that this is no longer surprise in the status. Is it a buff? No. I almost want to say it's a debuff. It should show up as red. This just controls how the text looks like. But we do need to change it so that this guy here goes into. We just need to put this as a 1. So by using a 1, it'll multiply it by the amplitude. It should make it a 4. So it should be consistent. All right, let's just go verify, and I think we're good to go. Control 2. Okay, so once again, mysteriously lay down some pipes with gas lines. There we go. Good. 4 damage. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Yep, now it says deal 4 damage, and it doesn't have the surprise anymore. It's no longer a surprise. Cool. 4 damage. Good. That's what we wanted. Excellent. Excellent. Go ahead and test it with oil. Grease them up. Drop it covered in oil. Yes. 4 damage, an extra 3 damage with oil. Boom. Good, that's working. Let's go ahead and test it with the flying guy real quick, since the trap is detected. I should be able to fly over it. Let's just make sure he doesn't walk into it. Ooh, okay, so I'm glad we tested that. Flying units are supposed to fly over traps that are known. They're not supposed to walk into them like that. He's got wings, he should fly. So we missed a beat there. The beat is, I'm going to go back into here. Actually, I'm going to look at one of my existing traps that I forget what the property was. But if I go to decos, let me look at my spike trap. Yes. We need to put this trait that says revealed. So we didn't add that. We're going to go back and add that. Specials, fire trap. Okay, so the permanent trap status, edit, damage trait type. Okay, so we want this to be revealed. Use 1. Boom. Okay, so that should work now. Let's go test 1 last time. So interesting question. There's been some debate amongst players in the community. Wesley is definitely on the side of the opposite of what we have in the game now, which is should your own traps, should you be able to trigger your own traps? So here's an example. Right now I placed a surprise, and if I for some reason decide to walk into it, I burn and set on fire. And there has been some debate about that. Like players think, well, if I place the trap, I know what it is. I should theoretically know how to walk in it without triggering it. Although I left it in there for the idea that it just sort of maybe creates some consistency, that if you get knocked into your own trap by the enemy, then you sort of trigger it. But I'm curious what you guys think, because that's something I could easily change for the next build if you guys wanted it to work the other way. So feel free to share your thoughts about traps and whether you should overfly them. All right, so I do know that this trap is revealed now, so I should fly over it. And I did. That's good. Now, you can't fly into it. If you land on it, you're going to trigger it. He's walking on it now. But if I fly over it, then, okay, so that's good. So it looks like that trap is working exactly as it should be. I suppose one additional thing we might want to consider adding to that that I didn't think about was if we should make that dispellable. Because it seems kind of weird to use dispel magic to get rid of pipes. I guess the pipes are magical. Let's change this to 1. Let's add a new spell. Let's add dispel magic. I'm pretty sure right now if you use dispel magic, it's going to get rid of those fire traps. Okay, so while I'm getting this level boot up, I'm going to turn my head back over to my other monitor to read the comments. So bear with me here. All right, so we've got Clever Name says, I think you should be able to trigger your own traps. There are some edge cases where you might want them to trigger. Absolutely. Maybe a guy heals from fire and you want to walk into the fire trap. True. Or buffs themselves when he takes damage. And Pancreas says, agreed. So, hence why I asked these questions. I've got a good number of players that say, don't walk in your own traps. Wesley would tell you, you shouldn't be able to trigger your own trap. I put it there. I don't want to walk in my own ice trap, or my own fire trap. I can hear both arguments. So when it's a tie, I don't do anything. When there's good reason and people all kind of genuinely agree, or there's a consensus or majority, then I make a change. So I'll keep it as is for now. All right, so we're going to do this again. I'm going to trigger the trap. I guess another question is, should the fire also burn you at the start of your turn? But that's probably too much. Let's just keep it as is. It's simple, just when you walk into it. All right, so can I dispel it? I can. So, I'm sorry, what was the consensus in our stream here? Can you use Dispel Magic to remove the magical pipes? Or are they permanent and they stay on the board as a permanent trap? Because I can certainly do it either way. It's a one parameter change. Clever Name, don't step on a thing. I agree. That's a pretty easy way to not walk into your own traps. If you know where they are, don't walk into them. I agree. But, all right, so should this be legal? Or should pipes be considered a physical manifestation that doesn't go away? All right, still waiting for a response. Pancreas says, I like the edge of needing to avoid it. Possibly messing up your later strategy. True. Also being able to guess where your traps is if your enemy is avoiding a space. True. That's a good point. Yeah. When you walk around an area, then the enemy can kind of get some sense that there's a trap there. I agree. That's kind of the reasons why I designed it that way to begin with. All right. So the last thing we need to determine is, can you remove pipes with this spell? Or cleanse. There's also that other spell called cleanse that just removes all status effects. Okay, no logical consistency in having to be permanent. So I'm interpreting that to mean that this is okay. You can remove it, in which case I think it's okay. So there we have it. We've made a new card today. Fire Trap now is functional. So that adds, I think, card number 32 to this client release. So yay, exciting for that. All right, so we got one more to make, the Time Trap. And I don't have any pressing urge. The kids are out of school, so I don't have to leave early today. I can stick around for a little longer and finish the last card. Okay, so that's one down. All right, so now we're going to make Time Trap. All right, let's get going here. This is going to be a combination of traps and Back to the Future. Not sure which one it's more like than the other, but let's figure this out. So Back to the Future. This is the one that applies the ability to add stuff or do things with characters. Trying to think about if there's an easy way to do this. All right, let's start with building up the initial piece of this, which is to build the surprise mechanics into the trap. So, Time Trap. We're gonna cleverly rename this Fire Trap again, just so that it jumps over to the spot where I've got this existing one. And similar to before, I'm gonna go in there and copy out the this guy. So I can paste them in there and make them do a similar kind of thing. Okay. I'm going to call this Time Trap Status. Time Trap. This one's not going to make a fire damage. And this one is not going to... also, it's not going to buff. It's going to... okay. Probably that. I want this to be that one. I don't know what sound effect you should have when it works. when it triggers. I suppose we'll use a surprise sound effect, so let's take that for now. Okay, save that. Let's save that. Alright, let's go ahead and get the rest of this populated here. So once again, visible space, empty, none. Okay, visible space, empty, 1. Okay, so targeting is done. Okay, apply status effect custom, that's easy. Okay, amplitude shouldn't matter here, so let's leave that alone. Let's copy our sound effects over. Boom, 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 and then boom, boom. Okay. Pancreas, gotta run. Kids from day camp. Thanks for the stream, Ross. See you later, Clever Man. All right, take it easy, Pancreas. All right. Clever Name says, I feel that you should be able to remove the trap. It's also an investment. Dispel magic is very powerful, so you're wasting your opponent's dispel to get rid of the trap he's already stepped on. True. Cool. I'm glad we're all on consensus. That's good. All right. So we've got, let's see here. Apply the trap. All of our sound effects are working. Let's make this functional. So I'll first do that. Okay. Okay. Okay, we can go ahead and put this into the subscription here. Localize that key. Go into here and save that. And let's go into this and do the same thing. Subtype. And you enter space where you link the boards and start turning good. Let's go ahead and make that a key. Alright. Got a description, we got our status back, we got it doing its thing. But it's definitely not doing this thing yet. We're going to make it so that it now does all of that cool stuff. Okay, so this is where it gets kind of fun. One easy way I might be able to do this is to, first off, remove that. Let's go here. Let's see if I can cheat. Yes, I think I can. Use cheat. I don't know if this will exactly work, but we're gonna start off as a test. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use an action that's going to basically replicate Back to the Future, the spell we've already made for time travel, and just have it trigger that. Let's get rid of this. Yeah. Okay, let's see what this does. Let's save that. I think that might be a little weird because it's going to send them back with the wrong icon, so we may have to modify that. But let's get a feel. Let's just see how this works and see what happens. Save that. Okay. So go back to Dex, test, fire trap test. All right, so we'll go ahead and keep using this one. Let's get rid of grease. Let's put in time trap. All right, I think I'll call it fire trap, time trap. GLF. Can't be alphabetical. There we go. All right, let's test this spell out. All right, so let's see if we can send people to the future when they walk in the trap. Okay, cool. Kind of looks like the Ghostbusters trap. Kind of like that art. Like a steampunk Ghostbusters trap. All right, when you enter space, move onto the boards when next turn. Okay. Oh, okay. Unable to create status animation Back to the Future. Interesting. Okay, this is an issue with determining assets. That's okay. We're just going to go ahead and build it a whole different way. I didn't really like doing it that way anyway, to be honest. I liked having all of the logic built into the card, not having dependency on this card. So what we're going to do is basically just copy over these effects. So what I'm going to do here is edit this, get this. I'm going to go back into, what is it, fire trap, time trap? What do they call it? rename this Back to the Future real quick. So it's, there we go. I'm going to add this, edit load. Okay, great. Change this to time trap. I guess the icon should be. I mean, I suppose it could have to be Back to the Future icon. Let's still get that. Okay, and then what you do is copy over these things. Apply status spec and then place in limbo. Action ID. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Place in limbo, action ID. Okay. So back to here, time trap status. Edit. Do this. So instead, we're going to do is say apply status spec custom nested one. And then we're going to say place in limbo. And this is supposed to be action ID. Place in limbo, action ID. Boom. Okay, so that should do what we want it to do. Save and save. It's awesome when you build stuff and you just use your building blocks to build more cool stuff. I like that. Oh, you know what else we can do is let's put a little sound effect in there so when it activates it for this thing. No, let's just try this out. All right. Save it back. Taps. All right. Let's see here. Good to go. All right. So place the time trap. Barbarian's gonna walk into it because he's like, "What's up? Oh no, I'm going to the future." He's gone. Oh no. He didn't leave a marker. He just vanished. That's not good. That's not cool, bro. So is he gonna come back? I don't know. It's okay. Well, that's not gonna work. So something went wrong. He did not. All right, let's go back to spells. Time trap. Call everything again. Back to the future real quick. Okay. All right, so what went wrong here? Let's take a look at these two things again. Apply status spec custom. Oh, on primary target loc. I see. That's what we want. Okay. Oops. Yeah, on primary target loc. There we go. That should do it. Let's try again, shall we? Save it, save it, save it, and boom, back to the maps. I think this should do it. So now we should have time trap working. What's cool about this spell is that it will also work on summoners, while Back to the Future does not. Although you don't get to pick which one you want to use, but you walk into it. Alright, so boom, treants go into the future. Alright, that's what I wanted to see. Alright, so this says returns here on Ross D22's next turn. So there's some kind of bug here where it did not properly capture the name of the victim. It should say return. Yeah, that something like this did not work. Not sure why. I think I have some additional property I may have to add to make that work. We'll take a look at that. But let's see if it brings him back. Aww. He did not return. He got lost in time. All right, so let's go back and take a look. Something's still wrong. Poor treant. Out of time, says Clever Name. You could also technically use it to nope your own unit for an out of time turn. Yeah, so this is a case where it could be fun. Time trap could be useful. You could walk into your own trap and be like, I'm getting out of here, man. So it kind of makes it doubly useful in that sense. It's almost like a time travel slash. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. It almost makes it better than a time trap. Maybe it should cost more because it's even more versatile. It's an interesting point. Or maybe the time trap specifically should not work on your own units. That's an interesting point too. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Either should because otherwise it kind of devalues the time travel a little bit because you could use it as a time travel and it's the same cost. It's more versatile. I mean, I guess it has some limitations. Then you have to move to use it, so it's not quite. It's different. All right, well let's go and see if we can fix it at least. All right. So I think our issue is this numerical value here. That's what's wrong. We have to make that match the ID. That's why it's not working. It should be apply status by custom nested 0 to action ID. Oof. Is the problem that action ID is not firing as a fixed number? I wonder if that's the problem. Gotta think about this for a moment. This is where I'm concerned that it's an issue of what happens if I make this be so action ID. Okay, class aspect custom, place unit in limbo and action ID. It's definitely some of these ID markers here. I'm trying to figure out on targets. Okay, let's take a look. On target, and this is primary target look. Is there anything else with this that would indicate a problem? Limbo ID, okay. Return on removing. Okay, back to time trap. Okay, let's take a look at this again. To 0. Okay, I see that should have used the default value. Interesting. It's possible the action ID is coming up as I'm a little stuck on this one. I'm not sure why it's not working. It's definitely one of these ID properties is not mapping correct. But I'm not sure. I might have to run the debugger to figure out why that's doing its thing. It's either getting multiplied or it's not setting it to a correct action value. Trying to think how else we can handle this. Let's try putting in number 1 in here. I'm just curious if that will magically fix it. Let's just see what happens. Maybe it'll force the multiplier to be 1 and then it will just work. Let's see what happens. And return to board also. Let's look at this. Number ID 1, return on removing 1. Okay, let's just see what happens here. We know there's issues because it's definitely not mapping it correctly. We should if it worked correctly, we would have seen the character's name and the return status. Alright, let's see. No, see, it's not going to work. It's still not mapping him correctly to that. So there's something wrong with the mapping system. So the nesting structure maybe, yeah, that's a shame. Clever Name says, yeah, this one's a bit of a nail biter. I don't quite know exactly where it's failing. I'm going to look at it one more time again, but this may require some heavier debugging. Well, let me think here. I have another idea how we can fix this. We could impose the ID. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to use this trait here. So we're going to do this. Remember ID. So what we're going to do. See, this is interesting to me too, that is primary target. How does that identify the limbo ID. I'm very intrigued by that. I gotta look at that closer. Let me look at Back to the Future a little closer and see if I can identify how it's doing this thing. It has a limbo ID set here. How is it setting its limbo ID here? That's source limbo ID. How did this thing get a limbo ID set? Okay, apply action ID on primary target. Okay. Okay, I see. Okay, alright, so here's what we're going to do. Message 0 to action ID on target. Okay. We're going to change this to action ID. It's a little confusing, but I'm going to try and explain how it's going to work. So we're going to put the action ID directly into nested 0, which is the time trap status. That will set this guy's limbo ID 1 to the correct value. All right. And then in here, instead of using action ID, we're going to use our ability user trait limbo ID. Oops. All right, let's see. Is that working? Let's try this again. Limbo. Ability trait, and I want this to be limbo ID. There we go. Okay. And then what I want this to be, instead of 1, this is going to be also limbo trait ID. Ability to trait limbo ID. So basically the key is we need to have those, the status effect they have to both line up. Limbo ID has to match with those two. So limbo ID and save. Okay, so there's those two are matching now. All right, now we're going to go back into our return to board, and I'm going to change this slightly. So return on removing. This needs to be not source limbo ID. Actually, no, this is correct now. Source limbo ID, because now the limbo ID should match. This should work. And that should be okay, I think. All right, let's test this and see if that corrects it. I have a feeling this might work. It's a very complex thing. Just gotta map all those IDs together. We'll know right away because it should say return computer's truant inside the status. Oh dear, so it still looks like it's not gonna work. Just doesn't. Lost in time. I feel sad for that tree. He's never coming back. He's just gone. Alright, let me look at this again. Apply status spec custom action ID on target. Okay, so time trap status therefore has a limbo ID set to the action ID. Okay. The trap status says we have source trait, source unit trait. Okay. That should work. Apply custom 1 ability to trait limbo ID on primary target. Place in limbo ability to trait. That's so strange. Those should both be the limbo ID. I don't know why it's not working. Let me look at the return to board again. Limbo unit player name. Also, why did this? I'm curious how this marker derives its description, because that would give us a nice hint. It's almost like the limbo ID is not matching somehow. Why are you not matching? What could this be? Okay, we'll keep thinking here, so I'm going to figure this out. Apply nested 1 to ability user trait limbo ID. assigning it. Place a limbo ability to trade limbo. Alright, checking for help there. Alright, let's take a look at the limbo ID and how it's derived. Keyboard view defs. Alright, so this might give us some help with some clues. Limbo unit name is derived by this. Limbo unit name is derived by... Okay, so here's how it's figuring it out. Status effect, get attribute type limbo ID. If limbo ID is not equal to 0, we search through all the units that are in limbo and find the one who it is. And then we assign limbo unit name to that. So that's our first problem. This is giving us a clue as to what's going on here, because if we look at our description of the status effect for return to board, it should be returning, we should be seeing the treants, we should be seeing computers treant here on my turn, next turn, and it's not, which tells me that for some reason those limbo IDs are not lining up correctly. For whatever reason, it's not assigning the correct limbo. And that's where our problem is occurring. And what I'm baffled by is that we clearly assigned them both to the same ID right here. So why would they not be... Yeah, they're both being set to the correct value here. It's really unusual. Why would they... Let's take a look at some of the other things here and see what we got. So we may need to do a little debug here to take and trace what the limbo ID is. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to track this down. We're going to see what's going on here. Limbo ID. Okay, so we're going to say, let's give us a little more granular. We're going to say status effect dot name. Okay. And then we're going to also trace the limbo unit here and trace its ID. And then here we're going to go ahead and say the attribute value. Okay. So this will help us identify right away what's going on. We're going to see if the IDs match. And based on what the IDs come up with, we'll probably give us some clues as to what is happening with this actual thing. So let's fire up the debugger and let's give it a whirl. Time travel is hard, guys. You want to travel to the future? You have to do some serious thinking. Time travel is hard. We're placing units in a dimension that doesn't exist, the limbo dimension. Alright, now let's go ahead and recreate our test here. And we're going to be able to tell what's going on. Go ahead and place the trap. As before, the treant's going to walk into it. And trigger the trap. He's going to go into some weird dimension. We don't know where he went. But when I open this up, that's going to trap, like, get her. Ah, here we go. All right, so let's see. Return to board, limbo ID, limbo unit treant has a limbo ID of 422. Aha! So I see an interesting clue here. If anyone else notices it, this, the limbo ID and the treant ID are exactly double each other. So somehow what's happened is that it has amplified the value of that limbo ID instead of passing the same one. That is very peculiar, but that would be why we're not functioning correctly. That's the issue. So why on earth would that be happening? Something is multiplying it by 2. Okay, well, now that we know what the problem is, let's see if we can go and figure out what's causing the problem. Back to time travel. Okay. So what is going on here? Time trap status. Enter position 1. Now, that's quite strange, because to me it looks like there's nothing that should be doubling it here. Okay. Ah, I see it. I know what the problem is. I know what's doubling it. So I'll explain. Here we are applying a new status effect to the space. And the virtue of doing so, we are placing the limbo attribute on that same tile again. Remember, we're using the attribute trait. The attribute is the space. The space is getting the attribute of limbo ID from the first status effect, but we haven't removed the old status effect yet. Now we're placing a new one on there. Okay? And so that's why it's doing this. What we need to do, I believe if we go ahead and put remove status effect source first in the list, this should work. Let's get a test. This is why it's great to debug. It's like it helps you see the obvious that was there all along, and it wasn't clear to me why it wasn't working, but now it makes sense. Right. Time travel to the future tree, to the future. Okay. Aha! This looks promising. Return computer's tree in here on Rossi 20 Studios next turn. That's what we're looking for. All right, you go. Okay. All right, there it is. I'm excited. That's wonderful. Let's go ahead and add some VFX to that. Just polish it up a little bit nicer. I thought this one had return VFX. Maybe I was mistaken. Did return to board not have a cool little return on removing? I thought it had a little. We didn't have VFX. It's actually probably okay how it is. Cool. Yeah. Let's call this time trap here. Time trap, time trap, time trap. Boom. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, that's good. So another concern we have is, so Clever Name says, I would like to say, well, I don't understand your debug mumblings. I wholeheartedly support with what they represent. Yeah, I was a bit mumbly there, sorry. I'll try to be more clear. So you were storing the ID twice, and they were adding instead of overriding. Yeah. Basically, like, so the ability user is the thing that's actually using the action. Status effects aren't action users, but grid objects are. A space is a grid object. It can use an action. And in that particular query, I was saying, give me the ability user's attribute of ID. But the problem is that the first thing we did was place a new status effect onto that space with the ID that was equal to the existing ability user ID. That's why it doubled. I basically had a status effect that was the original time trap, then I placed the return effect on top with the same effect, and therefore it's got two abilities that are doubled, and therefore the unit now grabs the value again, and this time it's twice the value. So by switching it around, removing the first aspect, now it works. Although I'm actually concerned about that because that actually is now that I think about my logic there's a problem here, and that problem is that that ID of that thing is technically 0. Let me go ahead and take a look at that actually. And talking through that again, I may have discovered a bug. Let's go and take a look. We're searching for limbo, I think, right? Limbo ID. Limbo ID. Let's make sure that is working the way I expected. Yeah. Return to board, limbo ID tree is 1. We do not want his limbo ID to be 1. That's a problem. So we need to fix that. What we want his limbo ID to be is, here's what we actually need to do. We need to set attribute, set trig dynamic, temp limbo ID to a attribute value target trait, and we want this to be, what's it again, limbo ID? Actually, this is a ability user trait. Okay, let's fix this. Oops, I said this, I want this to be limbo ID. Let's save it. There we go. Oh, we want this to be temp limbo ID. Set trait limbo, temp limbo ID to ability user trait limbo ID. On target. Okay. Set trait temp limbo ID to ability user trait. Okay. Set trait. All right, one sec, guys. All right, we are back. Okay. So we're setting the temporary ID so that we can make sure that limbo ID is consistent. And then what we're going to do here is remove the status, and then this is going to be set to the temporary ID on target, which should be not this. We want this to be trait dynamic, and this should be said temp limbo ID. And this should also be temp limbo ID. Okay, set trait temp limbo ID to ability user. Okay, then the last thing we want to do is reset this to 0. So copy that and then set this to 0. Okay, so we'll recess that thing, make sure it works correctly. Okay, good to go, good to go, good to go, good to go. Save that once more. And Clever Name says right. And attributes from stat specs on things trickle down and affect them. Exactly. Okay. So this is a better way to do it because now we won't accidentally confuse the unit ID. If there's multiple time traps, that would cause lots of problems. So this is we're gonna recheck and make sure that IDs match correctly this time. All right, so save that. Save this. Okay. And begin. Barbarian's going to the future. See you, Barbarian. Okay. Oh, okay. So clearly that did not work. We did something wrong. Let's go back and fix it again. We should have said Barbarian. Okay. Time trap. What did I do wrong here? It's possible my order of operations is spunked by. Okay. Set trait dynamic temp ID. On target. Oh, that's the problem. We need this to be on ability user. Okay, there we go. Okay, now let's test one more time. I think we got it now. Oops, not abbreviation. We want this. All right, let's test it one last time. Make sure the numbers all add up. Time trap. Have a fun ride, tree. See you in the future. Okay. There we go. That looks promising. Let's check our ID numbers here at the bottom. 211. That's what we want to see. That's correct. 211, 211, 211. Good. So it's no longer that 1. And let's make sure he returns in the future. So on my next turn, he'll come back. That's going to be a really fun spell. When you trap a summoner in a time trap, that's going to be just awesome. All right, so time trap is fully functional. I'm sort of inclined to just keep it as it is. Maybe let players get some feedback on how that changes the balance of time travel, right? Because since you can walk into your own traps, this currently has a lot of versatility, right? Because we could use time travel to basically send any of our own units to the future as well. So if I'm on the brink of death here, get the heck out of here, man! I'm gonna go to the future in my own time trap. And I can send any one of my units to the future. Maybe I can't heal somebody, I can go to the future. I mean, this spell suddenly becomes very, very versatile. But my concern is, did we devalue Back to the Future and time travel in making this thing have the same cost? There is some differences because time travel does not require you to use an action. So you could technically move an attack with your summoner and then time travel afterward. And Back to the Future lets you target an enemy directly. This requires them to have to walk into space. So it's not as easy to use on an enemy. But any thoughts, guys? This time traps, a clever name says, this time trap sending barbarians to the future gives me the Samurai Jack vibe. What happens if someone is standing in the trap when the unit comes back? Oh, great question. So let's start the whole thing over and do that. The algorithm for time travel at Limbo is programmed to choose the next closest space. So let's say barbarian goes to the future. And now let's say I've got this guy standing over here. Let's move him out of the way so he doesn't have something to slap him out of the way. Okay, so Barbarian should return in the next closest space, which is going to be one of these surrounding adjacent spaces. Alright, so there it goes. So that did not break anything there. The other cool thing is, I mentioned that time travel is not foolproof. Right? We need to have players have some way to react to it. So let's say you walk into a time travel and, oh no, my guy's trapped in the past, and I need him back right now, right? You can dispel magic, and when the time travel is moved, they come back. I think the same is true if you were to cast it on... Ooh, actually, it just layered them on top of each other, so now there's a fire... So if he comes back from the future, will he get burned? That's a great question. Let's see. I don't know. I think he will. I think that makes sense. Or the tree will just walk in the fire because, hey, why not? Welcome to the future. All right. Well, I think we answered those questions. Although, why is he still on fire? That's a great question. That seems like a bug. Oh, I think it's because this was an immediate action trigger and it didn't move the fire. That's probably okay. That's a minor bug. We won't worry about that right now. But I think I will record that. I should say, when a time traveler returns to a space also with a fire trap, they remain burning until next action. I'm not going to worry about that right now, but it will be in my log for a review. Okay, cool. So, very exciting stream today. We playtested the build with Wesley, and we played about 10 games, I want to say. Did not get the performance lag bug to reoccur. So I'm taking that as a good sign that the build is pretty stable. We didn't see any other bugs either, by the way, so that's also a good sign. I think we're ready to release this build out. So I'm going to push that build out this afternoon so I can be able to play version 32.1 at last. Enjoy all of our new content and changes. I'm excited. And we also talked about our upcoming single-player experience, what we learned from DreamHack, and what we hope to do to make our experience feel more original and very exciting. And we also concluded with creating 2 new cards, 2 trap-based cards, Fire Trap and Time Trap. And with that, I'm going to end the stream today. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today, for your feedback, for being part of our community, and helping us make Summer's Fate an awesome experience. Clever Name says, awesome stream. I'm excited for the reimagined single player. So am I. And we're going to be hard at work on that once we get this build out. I'm so relieved. You have no idea the pressure I have. I was so sad at DreamHack. We had people that were getting the game and they were buying it, trying to play on iOS, and the iOS build certificate expired. I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry. We're like days from a new build, and I'm going to get it to you. And we've been working. I've basically put everything on hold until this build is out. So there's a huge weight lifted knowing that this build will be going out to you guys today. Again, thanks so much, guys. I will see you again next week, same time. And also, we hope to be adding some more streams schedules. I'll post you guys on when we've got those figured out as well. All right, have a good one.